free with the duck and an eagle shooting the breeze. From paintball fields to campfire fun, you know the rowdy talk's just begun. Now kick up your feet and pour a glass. We're about to have a blast. We're the rowdy ones. We're the rowdy ones. The rowdy ones.
Welcome back to the Rowdy Ones. Super excited tonight to have Dirty Dave Pastore on. You know, he was a legend when I was just getting into this game and one of the, phenoms of the early 2000s. He cut his teeth on Team Strange, who really, I think, kind of revolutionized the style of play that so many teams have gone to in this day and age. I think you left the sport while you're still in your prime health. I mean, you still look the same to this day, we're, almost 2 decades later. So I think you still had a lot left in the tank. So I'd like to, obviously, here's some background for our listeners who may not know you, people newer in the sport, because unfortunately so much gets lost to history, things that just happened. I mean, we could talk about stories that happened on the Strange bus and have a 10-hour episode,
Yeah.
But really, it's just like our podcast, we just get like to, break it down and get into, why people make decisions. Because all this stuff just carries over from paintball to real life. And I think too many times people downplay what paintball gives us and gave us and continues to give new people. So I obviously wanted you to have you on for your perspective on all that, but also, as a shout out to the people who really set the stage and led the ground for us to be doing what we're doing now and hopefully keep, improving it and giving it on to younger generations.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I've listened to some of the episodes. I thought the Adam Gardner one, just hearing his background, probably just like you said, a lot of people don't really know some of the OGs that really laid the path for us. And I had the pleasure, to play with you, Ryan, and see you coming up early on. And man, my story is pretty wild, and love to dig into so many different things, in what paintball's delivered to me, not only through my career, post paintball, but all the just amazing memories that it brought and really helped me, be a stronger person overall, but also a better parent in a lot of ways. So life's wild, but really excited to dig in however you guys want tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to just get, I don't know much about your early career, like when you first picked up a paintball gun. So we don't have to go too long-winded into those kind of things, but I would like to hear about it. I know, you probably, you got on Strange in like the late 90s, 97, 98.
Yeah.
And but before that, you were already playing pro with the Predators?
Yeah. I found some jerseys, which the old cotton JT jerseys. My start was pretty different than a lot of people you hear that it's more of a cliche start. In 94, I lived in New Jersey and I was moving to South Florida, an area called Jupiter, which Tiger Woods has made famous now. But I had an old neighbor and I was an only child growing up, and he was like my best friend, older brother. And I'll never forget, we were a couple of neighborhood kids always doing something outside, whether riding bikes to playing street hockey. And he just got, I think the movie like Back to the Future 1 or 2 just came out, one of those. And the 4Runner was like the hot car in the movie. Michael J. Fox drove around. And that was like when it first came out, like a real SUV. And we're all hitting around electrical tape because that's how we played street hockey. And he's like, you bastards, like, do not get close to my car. And just like a bunch of young kids in 8th grade, you're like, yeah, whatever. And next thing you know, he comes outside and he's got this thing and he's like pumping it. And we're like, what the hell? And he shoots my buddy, and my buddy just like falls to the ground. And you think he died, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So we're all running across the neighborhood and he's just pegging us one by one off. And after
you're what, probably like 14, somewhere in there?
Yeah, 8th grade. So 14 years old. And I remember we were just like fascinated. So we run over and I'm like, what the heck is that? And it was an old Timmins SL 868 2, I think it was, the pump gun. So anyways, he was like, man, we play paintball and me and my buddies, and he showed us he had like a pink grenade. And I'll never forget, he gave me a National Paintball Supply magazine. I got it somewhere still. It was a 1994 magazine. And I literally looked through that thing for a year and just dreamed about, I mean, the paintball guns back then and all the accessories were just so far different than what the modern player has. I didn't even know what I was looking at. I was just like, oh my God, I'd love to do this. So fast forward, I moved to Florida, live across the street from the beach. Incredible. Got into surfing, diving, all that stuff. And it was an older community back then. And my mom just saw like I didn't have my community of friends anymore. It was like evolving more of a surfing thing, which was cool. But I was kind of like, for some reason, it wasn't like where my heart was at. And she found a paintball flyer for a place called Bullseye Paintball. And Bullseye was like where most people cut their teeth originally in South Florida. It was an area called Port St. Lucie. So me, my cousin, and a buddy that came into town, we went and played. It had a speedball field. And we played that one time, and that was it. Like, we were like 100% hooked. I had zero money at that point. So I ended up going to a Walmart, getting a slingshot, like a wrist slingshot, and we found a box of Brass Eagle paintballs. And literally, we would just use wrist rockets, chase each other around the park by the beach, and we would go behind the supermarket, grab like the pallets, and then we just ended up building our own paintball field. And we were just doing it on a budget. And unbeknownst to me, like anything that happened in this career that was, to your, as you mentioned, opening, like incredible. All we know is we all had a passion. We wanted to do it. It was fun. And sure enough, like I saved my money, every single freaking penny I made to buy paintballs. Eventually I got a paintball gun. And that was right when the Spider, the original OG Spider, came out. It had like a metal line into it. And
no foregrip, just a metal steel braided line, right?
Foregrip, which, the newer ones, as you know, they came out, I got fancier, but I had like the original OG one. And I remember agonizing over that or a Tippmann. Like those were the two, like where you're like, oh, do I get this one or that one? And the Tippmann, as you remember, was more like a rifle. So it kind of looked.
I assume you were considering the carbine.
No,
the semi version of the SL68, I think.
Yeah, it was golly, it may have been the carbine. I'm blanking, but it was the semi like pistol long rifle looking one. So anyways, get that. We start playing at Bullseye Paintball, and every weekend we were just grinding, saving money, pennies, quarters, change just to go play. And there was a point where I finally got a job bussing tables and food serving. And another friend of mine's like, hey, there's this paintball field in another area called Lake Worth. And I went down there, and you may know Mike's Paintball because he ended up selling the Cash Money Impulse.
Yeah.
This is many years later, copied the Strange Impulse, by the way. But anyway.
It was a poor version of it.
Yeah.
But the Strange version too wasn't your guys' original. It was a different design for a company that didn't end up. Yeah.
Nobody knows. Well, we can talk about that. Anyway, but what was fascinating is this was a huge woods field, and there were some younger kids, and we started a team called the Bush Monkeys, and it was like 5 kids. And if you remember, Ryan, back in '95, I don't know if you played that long, but you probably know from all Americans, like it was like 40-year-old dudes, 35, is the youngest.
Yeah, I started in like 97 when I was 12. It was the same.
It was the same, right? But I mean, even more intimidating. And I'm like, I still to this day, and I've got some funny stories, but I'm like, how the hell did my parents drop me off at this place and look at these guys that you're just like, that's probably not a safe environment for my kid. But back then they're just like, screw it, like you're going to have fun all day. Just, call us when you're done. And
I thought about that a lot because my parents were like a little more strict, a little religious, but they let me do the same thing. And it's
Yeah.
something I appreciate so much because I don't think it is like, oh, let's get out of here. Like we'll figure it out later. It's them having some trust in you to make your own mistakes, make your own decisions, learn from them. And
Yep.
then that trust in you, it builds, I think, such strong character and confidence early that it sets a good stage for things. And I worry about kids nowadays. It's like, man, they're on ring cameras everywhere. They can't sneak out. If you can't make mistakes and
Yeah.
like mitigate those mistakes, like what are they going to turn into?
Yeah. Well, it's like one of our past episodes. We talked about parents would let us loose. There was no way to contact us. They knew if we were in trouble, they would get a phone call of some sort, whether it was law enforcement or a hospital, right? Everything else, you're good. And if you needed to come pick them up, you found a payphone. Like,
but they grew up in an age like my dad's age when he grew up, like they got pulled over for drunk driving. The cop would just like follow them home and let them go. So it's like they grew up with a certain level of freedom and mistakes and learning. And then so what they gave us was really less than what they had. And then as technology increases, it's like everyone gets less and less and becomes, just more mundane and more of the same cookie cutter instead of having unique individuals who have been through things.
Well, and you know what else is sad? I'm going to keep it short, but like some of my favorite memories were ding dong ditching and TPing a house.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't do that now without getting caught, and they're going to get sore about it. Like, it's like back then it was like,
no one was happy about getting the house and trees teepees. But
but they were like, they got us again. They got us again, and that was just kind of it. Like
mailboxes always getting smashed with baseball bats.
Dude. We lived on a county road. It was a gravel road. We would live 3.5 miles off pavement. Dude, they would come by and smash our mailbox all the time. Well, my dad got a real big mailbox, put a regular size one inside it, and concreted in between them. I guarantee we found a wooden bat shard. I guarantee you that dude broke his wrist.
Oh, there's a broken wrist and a back dent in the car for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there was M80s and all kinds of fun stuff in the mailbox on mischief night back when I was young, and having
survival of the fittest, right? Like some people got weeded out during those times too, for sure.
Yeah.
I had a couple friends missing fingertips and stuff.
But that was the beauty of paintball, where I'm so grateful because it kept me out of so much trouble too. And I think although we had different, maybe fun, as you know, Ryan, but it was different, and at time for me, at least, like where I hear a lot, I still stay in tune to everything. I watch you, I'm very proud of all the accomplishments you continue to have, which, I get my excitement seeing all my old friends that are still doing it. But, when I was 15 and I think back, meeting kids organically, us all having a common thread of going, hey, we're in this different universe of players, but we all love this. And it brought that community together. And when that initial team started with a bunch of us, it was kind of funny. Fast Mike, he was on that team, and him and the guys, it was like one weekend or one day I couldn't make it. And another guy came in. They created another team called Mad Splatters, of all names. And I was so pissed. I'm like, all right. And I go and play. And this is really how the whole thing unfolded for me. Is I just happened to go out on a Sunday because I could only afford to play on Saturdays. I go out there the one Sunday, and the Palm Beach Predators were playing, which was, one of the best pro teams in that time and era. And they were actually one of the youngest pro teams. To their detriment, they had a lot of younger guys that also were going through high school and early college, so they weren't always showing up. And Art Peacock, who was one of the biggest Smart Parts East Coast teams at the time, they had all the badass Automag splashed guns. If you remember the original camo splash, I would look at that and just drool, and I'm like, oh, if I could ever have something like that. But I was out there just to play walk-on, and Art's like, we need an extra player. And here I am with my first Automag, with a CO2 on my back, with, just total newbie style. And he's like, hey man, I heard you're pretty decent. Do you want to play? And I'm like, sure, like hell yeah. So I go out there, and this is the best part. I run to the bunker. Him and I are in the same spot, and I'm going to take a shot, and I forgot to turn the spindle on in the back of the tank. And he's like, oh, effing newbie, and then he turns it on. The only thing that happened that, thank goodness, like I somehow went out and like shot 4 or 5 guys like after that, because I think I was so embarrassed. But it just that.
Now you always play pretty fearlessly, so that doesn't, you don't learn that. You get that from like a young age. It's like your story about playing with slingshots. It's like mirrored mine. Before I ever played paintball, I'm having BB gun wars with my friends, building the same sort of bunkers. It's like we were doing that before we ever did it, so you didn't have to learn to do that. Like you were just naturally playing a fun thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I never played with players of that caliber at that point.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was, I don't know if you ever went through this, but you had like walk-ons that got segmented. Like the better groups would then go out and play, and then the newer groups would do their own thing. At least back then, there was only one field, so it was really cool. Where Art all of a sudden took me under his wing, and then the Palm Beach Predators too were there, which Mike Giles at that time had that team. And the way it unfolded was Art basically told Mike, he's like, "This kid's on your team," and I was like, literally player 16. Like I was the 16th player on that team. And that just shows you like the amount of grind and effort that you got to be willing to put in. But at that point, I was getting like a JT mask for $25. Like Art was just, he would literally give me all the paint. And back then they got the biggest Brass Eagle sponsorship. That's when Brass Eagle came in that year through Nemesis and Ronnie Howell, RIP. And he would just give me all this paint that was all broken. And I would literally go home, roll for hours just to get a couple hundred paintballs, maybe 500-600 paintballs out of that case. But, that's the kind of grind that I would go through because I was so passionate about playing. And I was like, this is my opportunity to finally play, and I'll work my ass to finally, being, one of the top players. So that was really what unlocked it. And a quick funny story on part of that. So the first tournament I ever went to was 96 Las Vegas. And that was when they had it all the way out in the middle of nowhere on this like gully desert field. Dale Price, if you ever look it on YouTube, you got to watch it. I mean, the paintballs are hitting the ground and you're just seeing like this dust kind of poof up. But what was interesting about that one, by the way, the guy that was supposed to go, someone made me a fake ID to be that guy because he wouldn't go. He's like, I'm not going to be number 13 on the team. So I raised my hand. I paid the $200 for the plane ticket. Someone back then, it was a lot easier, obviously, pre 9/11. Someone kind of worked up an ID for me. But the cool thing is I got out there. But back to your point, how I'm going, how the hell is my parents letting me fly out to Vegas 15 years old with a bunch of old dudes?
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit. And, we had a caravan of 10 or 11 for the pro team, 10 or 11 or 13 of us for the amateur team. And I'm like, I don't, this, like, if I think of my daughter being 14 and if she turns 15, she's like, I'm going to go out with, random 20 people out to Vegas. I'm like, I don't know how I'd process that, but I'd have to go back to think about all the things we talked about. But that really was the moment, like really where I go, this is what I want to do. Like I watched Bob Long, his gun blew apart and he fixed this whole autococker on the field. And the things I watch, I didn't get to play one game. They didn't even let me play one game. And that's another part of the story. But I absorbed every ounce of watching professionals play and just took in every moment to learn and observe. We didn't have Trauma Head. We didn't have, you guys got Major League Paintball. Like as you know, Ryan, when we start, like we would have prayed to have anything like that. Like I had if you remember the original ESPN where it would play at midnight and That was when they did it in the
All the
Malibu.
like pallets and everyone was in their white jerseys.
No, the one before.
Oh, the one before that in the wood. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
find them on YouTube. That was the
And we
original.
didn't come out there the whole way to lose to a bunch of Yanks.
Well, that was the one Billy Gardner like pulled
Yeah.
the string or something like
Yeah.
around the flag. And anyway, but I would literally wait till midnight and I try to record those. But that was the only way we had paintball. Like there was nothing online. And I think that's just something where you either, God, you got to love this thing to what, transformed into the career that I was very fortunate to have. But those are the defining moments of just saying every ounce of my day was thinking about drawing out everything that I was observing in paintball and trying to process, like, just put it together,
No, you're 100% right. And like we would have killed for more media and more content and more ways to watch and learn. But looking back, I think that was a blessing too, because like the whole thing was our canvas. We got to make of it whatever we wanted to make of it.
Yeah.
Because you didn't get to sit there and try to emulate other people. You just went out and played this game and tried to do it better than other people. So everything that we got to do was kind of on our own terms.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty unique in sports. So I think that was like a blessing, even though at that time, like I would have been, digesting 20 hours of content a day if I could have.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, like amateur, and I don't know if you remember, this is probably before you, but there was a massive difference between amateur teams then and pro teams. Like it wasn't even relatively close. And I know you guys probably see that a bit in the semi to pro, but
it was bigger. It was a bigger drop off. And now there's, 12 divisions. Back then it was like when I started playing, it was just pro, amateur A, amateur B. I believe when you were talking, it was just pro and amateur. So
it was just pro and amateur.
So it wasn't even broken up, and you were forced to play like the pro teams X amount of games.
Yeah.
And that you saw a huge variances of talent just within the amateur or pro, but the gulf between the two divisions was insane.
It was insane. And like you had, for those that don't know, back then it was 10 on 10 and you got 6 games. That tournament, we may have shot, and this is true story, 6 games. I think that team, we scored maybe a total of 10 points. So that means we may have shot like 3 people. Like that's how bad we were. You had to really love it to go, I want to go back and get my butt kicked. And by the way, I didn't even play, but it was something that I was like, holy cow, there's a whole nother world out here that I didn't even know it existed. And just seeing Bob Long and seeing some of the pro teams that I got to observe, it was it just hooked me even further to go, this is something different. And I wanted to do everything I could to be able to play professional one day was the dream. But getting there, that road was not, I mean, there was too many times we should have never made it. And I think that's the beauty of when you do make it, the appreciation I had was far different than a lot of people that may have just been a great player. And now there's more like 20 pro teams or something crazy. Like back then you didn't have that opportunity. Like you had to be really special to stand out. And if you stood out, you were still paying your way, and you just had to really want to do it, like an old Pollack, right? Like some of these guys that no one talks about, that they had to wear certain shit to stand out. Like Dave Youngblood wore, a black suit. Like people had to wear, interesting things to stand out back then, but that was the way to make yourself a name.
It was like professional wrestling, when everyone had a character and not just wearing jean shorts,
Yeah.
but I always find it interesting, like what attracts you to certain players at a young age. So like for that first Vegas event, you obviously are remembering Bob Long and those moments fondly, which, you weren't like following him because you knew a ton about him, because you weren't getting that media. Like obviously he had a team and there's some things you knew about him regardless. But like you're playing stout in matches. So like what made you like really like want to like seek out that and remember those moments, and like what other players back then like had that impact on you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So you can find this on YouTube. I looked at it the other day and had a couple beers, and it brought back the best memories. But the original Ironman video of, I don't know if you've ever watched it. You can find it on YouTube. I think they break it into two videos, but this is the original. And the players for me on the Ironman, Brian Beniti, Shane Pastana, Marty Bush, who a lot of people don't talk about, that is just the dude's out there with a pump gun crushing it in this. Dirk Gadberry.
Marty Bush would talk about Marty Bush enough, and not everyone else could, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know how, but you know, those guys,
in a good way. I respect him. Like,
yeah. I mean, but those were guys that, you know, it wasn't like the All-Americans were on video anywhere, right? So like you looked up to what you could see in the artifacts you had. You're like, oh, like that's badass, right? They had a cool logo. They had some younger guys back then. So that was part of it. But then also the Predators had, for that time, a very young team too. There was Coleman D, Jammer, who ended up going to play with Aftershock, Jimmy Sareva, who came back to us, that went to play for Bob's team. We had BJ that, you know, and so we had also players that were on the Predators that I got to see as well, that I'm like, holy shit, these guys are badass. And then we had Nemesis, where Rocky started, and I knew him actually when he was on Nemesis before he ended up going to Avalanche. So we had a pretty good, and Todd Adamson, like Todd and the Rage team. A lot of people don't even know that Todd came from a team called Rage, and then eventually moved to Aftershock. But those guys would all come to South Florida. They were all based there. And I had at least a good line of sight on those players at an early age to go, holy shit, there's some really good, younger, aspirational people to look up to. But at the same time, you know, until you got to the tournaments, that's the only time I would see any of the other teams, like Billy and Adam. Like I knew them through the Smart Park catalog. Like that was it. And the dude that made the goggle flage, George Davison, yeah. And Tui, right? Like Tui, because he had the tattoos and all that stuff. So that, like, you just kind of make and see some of that. But I mean, those were the guys that I looked up to in different ways.
No, I completely get that. And I've talked about it a lot. Like, you're obviously going to follow the people that you can follow. Like, that's why stories are interesting. Like, you get more backstory of someone, you appreciate them more or you hate them more. Either's fine. But I've always talked about the like West Coast media bias, and it's not just in paintball; it's in pretty much any extreme sport. So I'm sure skaters from the early days, East Coast skaters, probably felt disrespected. I know the All-Americans at that time felt disrespected by a lot of that, but it's just like, well, you guys weren't doing anything to be out there.
Well, we helped Smart Parts through that, right? Because the Smart Parts brand, a lot of people don't realize, like there was an East Coast, West Coast divide. It was Dye versus Smart Parts, right? And unfortunately, All-Americans just did not do a good job branding themselves. And I think we were heaven sent for them at the right time to help elevate that brand and make it more popular. Dye and JT had really the edgy kind of clothes and look, and you know, for better or worse, Adam and Billy were just not designers in that regard, right? Like
they just weren't in the right time frame. You can get Renegades now; they're worth a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
They were just a little too early or a little too late.
Yeah, but you know, overall, the stuff just wasn't, you know, it wasn't what the market was looking for, and I think that was different. But you know, in the end, it was really cool to be a part where not only did our team, I think, elevate at a rapid pace, but it was really cool to see how we also helped Smart Parts, and it was like a perfect marriage at that time.
Yeah, I guess before we get into that, I would love to hear like how Strange started. Like I know, like the times and when it did, and the basic story. You know, I spent a lot of time with Paulers and BJ when they lived up here. I was always close with Jimmy Sareva. Like, saw him more recently than you. You know, he came up to a 10-man in Pittsburgh. It was good catching up with him. But all those guys, Carthy, you know, all the Daves, all the Mikes, you know, Bass, Blacks, Little. So, you know, however you want to do it. But I don't really know like how like the talks went behind the scenes and how that team formed. But like obviously, like you took advantage of being from a paintball hub, and that's too underestimated nowadays. Like the best players usually come out of a hub region because they can be around better talent, push each other more, be surrounded by it, and not have to search for it.
Yeah, I hope this is inspirational to up and coming players and teams, anybody that's able to watch this. And the reason I say that, I mean, I went through multiple seasons of not winning anything. Like you would have thought, oh, you got to go to Palm Beach Predators, the pro team. After that, that team disbanded, and we were left with basically just a group of kids that all just love playing paintball. We had no idea what to do. Predators disappeared.
And that's such a shame too, because, you know, there's not a ton out there on the Predators, but from everything I heard, you know, from everyone who used to play against them at the time, like you guys were aggressive, you played a different style, and like it's not the thing you think of when you picture any camo Latin team. Like you don't think about the different play styles and stuff. So like it's always a shame to see a team, you know, leave when it was still obviously on its upswing, because all the players moved on to be super successful on more successful teams. So nothing was holding that team back, and it still had to, you know, implode. And you know, the same thing happened to me with the Philly Americans, and you know, all those players went and, you know, won everywhere else they went. So it's like, man, what could we have been if we kept that together?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and we can talk about, there's a lot of ways, but what I'll tell you is I do wish we could have encapsulated that time, because those guys needed to be memorialized a bit more than they are. Art and Buddy Peacock own that team, and they're really probably one of the early, like probably what you see with Impact and Billy and Adam, like you had ownership with folks that had financially the ability to support a team. And that's really how the Predators were formed. And they paved all the way for a lot of the young kids that were on there. And to your point, they were awesome. Like they were fast, they were aggressive. They just didn't know how to unify and play as a team. And I think they actually helped us understand their mistakes to making Strange what it became. But back to your question, once Predators folded, Jimmy, Coleman D, Jammer, all the better players went to all the better pro teams, Image, etc. And a guy named back then, again, so just so you know, on Palm Beach Predators too, we had a guy named Wild Bill, Goblin, Sky Pilot, Bobby Slaughter. So like even back then I'm going, how the hell, if I ever introduced these guys to anyone, like my parents were like, Goblin, like
a couple years later on the All-Americans, there was 2 Weasels.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to delineate this between East and West Coast Weasel.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, how the hell did they get 2 Weasels? But you know, but it's funny, right? Because that was just that generation. People had those type of nicknames. Like you don't see that on the pro field anymore. So this guy, Wild Bill, it was me, Fast Mike. I was literally about to, I was like, I'm done. I'm in about, you know, later stage high school. And we all know that's a tough time where you're like, I want to party. I want to have a good time. And I was like, I'm just not meant to be. Like, I thought I was at the pinnacle. I'm done. And Fast Mike, to his credit, begged me. He's like, hey, there's a local 3-man and 5-man series. Let's just try to see if we can. And I didn't win nothing. Like we took last place every tournament. Barely shoot 2 people, like in a 10-man game, which is really, really bad, like to give you a sense how bad we were. And to this place called Bullseye, back where I originally started, here he is, and puts this series together called Jim Durante. And you'll understand why this is important. But what happened is we had this camaraderie built, and it was me, Mike, and Wild Bill, and we ended up playing 3-man together. We had another 3 players. Mikey, who you knew, is arguably the fastest paintball player in that generation. There was another guy, Brian Merkel, and this guy, Marco Yee. So they were on the other 3-man. So there were 6 of us. So we went out and thankfully started just winning tournament after tournament. I've got a ton of trophies on the other side of my room from all these 3-mans. And then when we combined teams, we'd do 5-man and we'd win all those. And once you get a taste of winning, even though it was like at the amateur local level, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, it's addictive, right? There's no more addictive feeling than winning. And I'm like, holy shit, we got something. Like we're on to something. And at that time, Strange was on the West Coast, and BJ, Carthy, Paul, and they had a couple of other guys, Little Dave, another guy, Rob, and this guy, Dale. And they were doing their own thing on the West Coast of Florida. So they're winning tournaments, doing their own thing. So as we're doing our path, they're doing their path. Another team came up called TBA, and this was a bunch of ex-Nemesis players. And we did a tournament with them, and there was a really big tournament right by you guys called the International Amateur Open. Mm-hmm. And we went there, and we took second place because we combined with this ex-Nemesis team. But
that was a huge event to do well, too. I don't want to cut you off, but for people that don't know what that was, it basically combined like World Cup trade show with like the biggest amateur event ever. So all the pros went to it anyway, to be at the booths, to hang out, to watch games, it was just like the event to be at if you couldn't play.
You got it. Yeah, it was the Super Bowl for amateur teams, right? Like it's probably the best way to put it. Every amateur team, both from Japan, they had the Far East Dragons that would come over to, you name it, everybody was there, right? The Green Dragons and all these other Lockout used to go there. So you had like this, to Ryan's point, it was a very challenging. That was my second time there. The first year with the Predators too, we took sixth place. That year we took second, which was really, really good. So with that being said, we left there, we go to World Cup that year, and just the players, and Ryan, you know this probably in hell, and I don't know your background as well, but a lot of these guys were out partying at night. They were all doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They weren't taking the field walking serious. And there was the side of us from the Predators that were like, hey, we're all in and we're spending lots of money. Like I had an auto mag because I always wanted, the Angel came out and I could never afford it. All I could afford was the darn, they called it the dirty mag, but that's all I had. Like that was all I could afford. And every penny was so important. I'm like, when they were not taking it serious, it was so frustrating. In that tournament, I think we made it to like the first round of semis. I think that was the first year Amateur B came out. But anyways, me and Fast Mike left the tournament. We're like, I don't know if we can do this like a whole nother year. And we've got good players, but we were just not gelling together. And that's when.
And when you're losing and people aren't putting in effort, or they're slacking off, that's way worse than when you're winning. Because you look at Avalanche, their most successful years, they were doing the same things, but they're winning. So it's like, it's almost excused. But when you're losing and spending money and not giving that effort, it's like, man, you're doing yourself a huge disservice.
Yeah, and you got to have, and I'm empathetic for people that their heart is committed, they're loyal, but if you're not surrounded with the right ecosystem of players that are all in and committed, it makes it tough. And
even if you are, and even if everything's right, you're not guaranteed to make it work out. Like you might not have something, you might not have been born with the thing that it takes. That happens across every avenue in life. Like some people are better suited to things. Some people have to try harder. Some people have to not. Like, but all you can do, all that effort does is allows you to reach your potential. It doesn't allow you to reach the top potential that there is. It merely allows you to reach your potential. So if you're not even doing that, like then you never have a shot to be one of the best.
Well, what's the saying? Some are born into greatness and some greatness is thrusted upon them.
Yeah.
Right. Like there always will be, there'll come a different mentality when it comes to which one you come from.
Well, I just think that every person for everything they do has a floor and a ceiling. And that's just going to vary depending on what particular thing you're doing. And the effort you put in gets you closer to the ceiling, but your floor might be higher than some people's ceilings.
That's true too. Yeah.
It's life. Life's not fair.
Mm-hmm. I really want to ask real quick, are you drinking wine out of a freaking rocks glass?
No, this is
I'm drinking wine out of a wine glass.
Okay. It looked like a rocks glass. I was like,
It's got a nice Chianti.
my heathen brother. I was like, that's the kind of shit I do.
What are you drinking, Dirty?
I should have grabbed a beer. I could in a minute.
You can. You're welcome to after.
Get one, dude.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
We can bullshit for a little.
2 seconds. You good?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. 30's the man.
Dude, he's so cool. So I gotta ask him. You know, I checked him out a little bit.
Jeez,
He's got a freaking, I'm like, I want to ask him, I'm like, is that your contender or somebody else's? Contenders are like top of the line, like top tier boats.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Center consoles. I was like, this is my kind of guy.
It's my kind of guy too.
Dude, yeah.
Here's
And then
what
I
kind
see,
of beer he comes back with.
yeah, I see he's got a gold record and a platinum record too on the wall.
Oh, my dad was in the music industry. These are Allman Brothers, and he's on all their albums.
Oh, that's
What?
awesome.
Yeah, that's a whole nother awesome story about him and his background.
Yep.
But those are leather belts from the Allman Brothers. Greg Allman. These are all gold and platinum albums. My dad helped support them on the band and stuff. So
No way.
yeah,
So him living like an unconventional life had to make him understand like you following or like pursuing these passions more.
I'll tell you, that's a whole, what I'll share is this. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and he came back. That war wrecked him bad. He was not very involved in my life growing up. Like as far as a stable, loving father, but not somebody that did much, if anything, with me.
Not very present.
Yeah. And paintball he saw it as a gun, and I think the war was something for him where he's like, he wasn't against it, but he's just like, you don't want me to go play that. Like it wouldn't sit well with him mentally. And I was like, that's all you got to say. And I'm good with that, and sadly he never came to a tournament or got to see me, but my mom did, which was really cool. And he actually passed away when I was 21. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, because it ended up being the season we won our first pro, which was really cool. And that was kind
Atlantic City, yeah.
Yeah. I got the trophy right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was cool. But fascinating guy. He worked for Gibson Guitars, Pearl Drums, and worked with a lot of major bands, Peter Frampton. And I've got photos on the other side of the room that are just pretty fascinating. With the rock stars. He was with Guns N' Roses and all them.
Wow. My mom and dad's first concert they ever went to, it might have been their first date actually, was to the Allman Brothers.
Oh, really? Well,
it was the Allman Brothers and what was it? The Allman Brothers and Doobie Brothers?
Yeah.
Brothers.
So
yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got photos of my dad and Greg Allman and Dickie Betts and Butch Trucks, who was the drummer. Like those were all his boys.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, sure he had an unending flow of stories that he could have shared. He was still here.
Those are the things, like him and I, luckily we made peace with each other before he passed. Like we ended up ironically becoming best friends, unfortunately late in my age, but I talk to him all the time. I'm like, I know I'm making him proud. And I thought it was just kind of cool where probably like anyone who's lost a parent, you're like, man, there's so many questions I have now this late in age I would love to ask. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my parents are still alive, and I think the same thing, because the older you get, the older you see your parents get too, no matter what. And there's always things that like, you're like, man, I don't really know what they were like at my age. I know what they were like, throughout the whole time I've been alive, but you don't know what gets someone to be that person. And it's hard for people to open up and share their mistakes and their downfalls as much as like the highs, because people don't want people to see that side of them a lot of times.
Yeah. Well, I encourage you, losing both my parents and being an only child, like Don't take advantage of the moments where you can. And I know that's easier said than done because everybody's in a different place with their parents. But I was very blessed. My mom was the most positive woman you would have ever met. She traveled the world, hence why I was on a camel back there in Egypt 2 years ago. And that's a cool story in itself.
Yeah, Egypt's pretty wild.
What's that?
I said Egypt's pretty wild.
Cairo is cool, man.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like people don't realize when Austin Zajac, who you may know, he was on the team as well. Him and I did it 2 years ago, and we went to Rome and then we went there, and it was epic. It really was. But,
so I guess where were we? I guess we were just forming Strange.
Strange, yeah. So what happened is, so this team was called TBA, Team Badass, which, oh, by the way, Scott Goggles came out with a goggle called
Badass.
The Badass, if you remember. Worst goggle.
They were like flat, one piece of plastic. They were so weird.
It was like Chewbacca on your head. It was
He had like a clipboard behind, like for like a forehead visor.
Yeah, and the best part is they came out with another version called the Big Ass, which had, like, I can't make up how bad these goggles were. You have to, because I mean they were. Scott went from like a reputable brand and just destroyed themselves overnight. But
they made goggles where you could like turn the Proteuses, were they, where you turn the ears if you were a front player, so you could hear backwards. Come on, that
was that's when it was.
I guess those are JT, but just that time frame.
Gimmick, the
very gimmicky.
So we were on that team, and then we started out the year, and we ended up doing that Bullseye series in Florida again, and we started the year as this TBA team, and we had two teams, and somewhere in between, the Strange thing just started. We started having conversations. I think BJ and Paul, and we knew those guys from the Predators days. And they're just like, hey man, like, are you guys happy? Like we really want to do something special. And we all just started having a conversation, and we're like, you know what, this sounds like really good. Let's do a practice together. So we took the Predator side of the TBA team, which was our original guys, and we did like a practice together, and we're like, holy shit, we could be really, really good. So we had to break the news to this old school nemesis TBA team that, hey, we're breaking off the ship here. And we ended up luckily being able to retain the name for our team, and we ended up winning that series. But in '99, that was the first year, or maybe the second year, they did Amateur B. I can't remember, but we entered Chicago Amateur B as Team Strange, and we flew out there early, which no amateur team ever did. We played Bob Long's team because Jimmy knew Bob Long back then, and practiced the Chicago fields, and ended up going in that tournament and just destroyed everybody. Like we were like, holy shit. Like winning an MPPL back then, which was MPPL, even in Amateur B, it was a very hard, difficult thing to do. And we went out there and really just destroyed everybody we played. And I think in that moment we were like, okay, like we're
on the right path for sure. You're on the right path for sure. You're like, this is it.
But it wasn't, because then we didn't have enough money to go to the following event, which was Nashville. Because people don't realize, even back then, it was so expensive, like a case of paint. Like you guys, like when they tell me you're like $25 or $20 a case of paint, I'm like Ryan, I know you probably were a little bit more blessed being underneath the All-American umbrella, but like back then we were paying at a tournament still like $80 a case of paint, and then you think about 10 people on a field, unlimited paint, you got back guys wearing 12, 14 pods, mid guys wearing, 8 pods. I mean,
front guys only wearing like 3 though.
What's that?
Front guys were only wearing like 3 though.
Yeah, that they counterbalanced it a little bit. We had some fast ones, but in the end, you're loading a shit ton of paint, and it was not cheap, right? Rental cars, all that stuff. So We couldn't make it to Nashville. We make it to World Cup. That's our backyard. That tournament, we go in, we make it to the semis. I mean, we thought for sure we're going to crush it, win it. I mean, we had every aspiration and got knocked out in the semis. And that was like a really hard kick to the ego for us. And I think
What
that
teams knocked you out?
a team called G-Force.
Mm-hmm. They were from Ohio.
Yeah. It was, there was, if in the push video, it was the field that Aftershock and Avalanche played, and it had that big spider dome thing. I mean, the fields back then were insane, like
Wow.
crazy shit going on.
And you're walking 10 of them.
Yeah.
All completely different.
Well, that's a whole nother ball of wax we can get into, where people have no appreciation of walking 10 fields, not knowing your schedule, and then getting to the field and going, holy shit, where do I go again? You know,
Or it's like, man, we spent like 3 hours on this field and we don't play on it.
Yeah.
We don't play on it. We spent like 20 minutes on this field and we have 3 games on it.
Yeah.
It was all a crapshoot.
It was a wild, wild west, but it made it fun. Like I you know, I don't
Teaches you to adapt so fast too on the field. Because I think paintball's paintball. It doesn't matter the format, the field layout,
Yeah.
it's woods, not like, man, you can play it the same way. You can still dictate the terms and impose your will.
I do wish there would be a little bit of mix up at every NXL event, though. Like you change the field by 10%.
That's what my pitch was. I pitched, you change, 2 bunkers per side every day. So, and you only give people a 75% layout the 2 weeks before. So they know where 75% of the bunkers are. The other ones vary. So you incentivize teams to go out there and set up more field layouts with those extra bunkers to get a closer look. We also, benefit the teams that can adapt faster, and you probably get more entertaining paintball because not everyone has played 150 points on the exact layout into the same style.
It would also, I think back then, it led to more creativity, right? It led to everyone not being like, hey, we're going to pound this out for a week and a half. We're going to go in there and know exactly what we're doing. I mean,
it also helped
in respect. What's that?
It also helped that only like 20% of people could run and shoot. People could barely shoot left-handed. Like there was a lot more opportunity. It was even across the board, but the people that could adapt faster led to a lot more of that creativity too.
Yeah, I would like a 10% layout change every day. That'd be a really cool thing just to make it more mixed up, even though, that can throw a massive wrench in someone who just pounds ground every day for a week and a half. And, I guess it's a week now since we're playing Thursday. It's essentially a week for on the layout, but
you don't got to sell the idea to me as mine.
I know. I'm sorry, not to get on tangent, I just would really like it. I think it really levels the playing field. Anyways, Dave, sorry for that. Back to you.
No, I love this conversation just because I think about it. I think about the game every day to this day. Like I have nightmares and dreams, and I mean it's in me. I may not be playing, but I'm playing through Ryan and you guys. What I do love back then is, to me, part of the fun of paintball was playing on different fields and just having a different environment and having to adapt or figure out how you're going to play that environment. It created, that's where run-throughs happened and different exciting things. Because if I played All-Americans on that field, and you always saved moves that nobody saw, or you used a move that maybe nobody saw, because back then it was just not everybody was watching every game. So you're like, holy shit, that move worked. Oh, I can't wait to whoever we play on that field. And
you weren't going to waste a move on against a bad team. But if you're playing a really bad team and no one else was watching, you might try a move.
That's right.
Learn it. Learn if that move is working or not.
Right. Run a 50 or even a 60, like to their side of the field. We were known to do some crazy shit back then, but you could get away with it knowing that not everyone was watching or paying attention all the time. So that's the one thing when I watch it today, I'm like, damn, it just seems so repetitive. And I look at Ryan and I see you running from Dorito to Dorito. I'm like, either he's just like, I know this so damn good and I like it because I know every little element, or at some point you got to be halfway through the tournament and go, I'm so burnt out of doing the same damn thing that I'm like, I wish, there was a different movement, or put me on a damn snake's head. You're like, at some point you're like, God, I'm doing the same thing over and over.
In my career, I've been like used a lot of times where, I've spent 90% of the time practicing one side and then been moved in the middle of the tournament somewhere else. And I never minded that because, like I said, it's all paintball. Like, if it can put someone else in a better position on my team, we're going to be a better team overall. Like, I'll adapt to that. And it keeps me like not focused. I'm always going to be focused, but it keeps me entertained. It staves off boredom because, like, when I play, I don't try to go like, oh, I need to know every inch of this bunker. Like, I trust my instincts a lot. I trust what the game gives me, and I'm willing to take moves that like I didn't really plan for because it was there. Like, my only real goal is to like go forward and cause the other team strife, make it uncomfortable for them to play. So I'm always constantly looking for any of that. And I put a lot of the blame on the game not being like that now on the players, because it's a conscious choice that the players are making. It's kind of risk aversion. It's like I can be more consistent this way if this is what the coach wants. Like, I think it's easier as a coach to play players that what you're going to get out of more, and that you can explain it and make sense to you, over players that are more unorthodox, because those players are like, man, it worked, but I don't know why it worked. And if I don't know why it worked, I can't trust that in the future. Yep. But if all players were just looking for these openings, they're there. The only other thing that really kills that for our game now is the length of it. We went from playing, obviously, when we were playing 10-man, playing, 8 prelim games, every game mattered, but the skill difference between teams, you could try different things. So that kind of broke that up. Yeah. But then when we went to X-Ball and we were playing 2 25-minute halves, you just had enough time to explore things. Yeah. Now, the way players are all playing, more of a strange style, let other teams make mistakes, take some ground, but then allow the other teams to make mistakes. You end up just having 2 cautious teams watching the clock just evaporate away. It's like watching paint dry. And then it comes down to one mistake, because the game's going to be 2-1, 3-2. Yeah. And that neuters us all, because everyone's not willing to take that. So like, I am a full believer of, take risks early and often, because the more opportunities you give yourself, like, I'd rather my team lose the first point in 30 seconds than win it in 11 minutes.
That's right.
Like, that's just my mentality, and that's the way it's always been for the game.
Well, and I think one of the biggest things now is it's like, it can be everyone's running almost the same breakout, very similar. But it's like, the reality for me is what I do is someone that's always in the pits is, I'm like, when you become that team that becomes unreadable in this day and age, you are the team that becomes the advantage. You become the people that are now a danger to everyone else, right?
If you're good enough to consistently do it.
Yes, you have to consistently do it. But as long as you can have that in your back pocket and you become unreadable this day and age. And I think that's what's so different from like back in, your era, Rocky Cagnoni, all that. I mean, you did not know what was going to happen, and it was going to be chaos, whatever did happen. And
more space creates more opportunity too. The bigger field sizes allowed more option.
Yeah. And the fields were a lot more open then too, right? It wasn't all laid
sometimes
up.
That was like beginning pre-10-man. We were playing behind some fish, some car washes with actual like banners in them.
Yeah.
Dog bones, snakes with tongues. Like,
you had things that definitely blocked major lanes, right?
80s with spiders on some fields.
Yeah. But then you would look at it, and then there would be these huge gaps, and their bunkers are all spaced out. You would have those bunkers in the middle that would block these major lanes. But then in the backfield, you'd look at it, and it was like, you're like, holy shit, it's open back there. You know what I mean?
It didn't feel open at the time, but that's, probably some skill level, probably some not. Like, now I just like, even when like the game breaks down to the same moves, the same breakouts, I appreciate the minutia of the differences. It's like, yeah, we could be breaking out to these same 5 spots, and so could the other team. But like, the person I'm playing in the way my style matches up with their style changes the whole tempo of it. So it changes the way the battle proceeds. It changes the way who gets dominance. When one person gets dominance, what does the other person do? Do they fight to get it back? Do they look to go somewhere else and turn their gun? And like, those are the moments I appreciate more. But that's not like a spectator friendly thing to enjoy.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of went back off on a tangent. Bring it. I know it's us. Welcome to the Rowdy Ones. But back to Strange.
Yeah. So, and what's interesting too, at this time, I was just thinking, I think it's helpful for people to know. So sponsorship wise, we literally, I think, got at practice like 1 free case of paint. Smart Parts was our first sponsor that year. We got 1 free barrel, and the second one was like $50.
Was this 2000?
No, this was 99.
99. Okay.
And that back then we were grateful. We were like, whoa. And I remember BJ was one of the first, who was our captain of the team at the point, where he was like, hey, we need to get 3 barrels with different bore sizes because of, back then I'm like, I can only afford 1 barrel, dude. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm taking the free one, And he's like, but he was really smart back then, knowing like, hey, no, there's like different sizes. We need to make sure we have all these. And that was right when the 14-inch barrel came out. Because back when I started, there was either 12 or 16. The thought process is if you're speedball, you ran 12. If you were in the woods, it was 16, right? Like that was kind of the way it was. And then out of nowhere, Smart Parts came out with a 14-inch rifle barrel, which was badass. And that kind of just became the de facto from then on, from 99 or 98 on. So, which is crazy to think about. But anyways, yeah, that was like the pre-freak stuff. So that following year was the first year we all committed to doing, in 2000, we decided to do a full season of MPPL. And that time we were sponsored by Scott that year. We had Smart Parts for barrels. We were still able to shoot whatever guns we wanted. And I can't remember who else. I think Armson was our benchmark for like grips or something. Like we had, hodgepodge sponsorship of stuff, right? And PMI was a company back then that the paint distributor for RP Sure, and we got like $10 off a case. Like it was like, still, you want to talk about, you think you're okay, the shit, like you won 1 MPPL, you're going to get something and you make a semi. Like, no, back then they were just like, this is what you get and figure it out. So we go to LA, that was our first time playing SE Village, which was awesome. Really cool experience there. Smells terrible. I don't know if they've ever figured that out, but
it's got to be worse by now.
Yeah. The cow stuff was just awful, but it was just a really cool experience. So that tournament, we go all the way to the finals, and this is when you used to frontal on and off. And I had an Angel that tournament. I'll never forget. I finally could afford this damn gun, and I bought the lemon of Angels. Like it was.
Was it one of the first ones that came out where you had to charge it with like the car charger that would like kill car batteries?
No, no, you're right. But this was the LCD version, the first one of the LCD ones, right? And the damn thing shot like 320, and I was like the last guy. So we went from first place to second because of my hot gun. And you want to talk about...
Yeah, if you won the game, not only are you losing the game, but you're getting negative points for the game. It was like...
The team was like, they wanted to kill me. And I've never felt so small at that point in my life. Like I was like, they were like, why didn't you just like punt the gun, kick it? Back then the pros... They made sure they walked off with no air. Like they were like, oh, Can Chrono got no air. You're like, or they all had wrenches. Ryan remembers, like, people would crank the backs. Like, there was all kinds of tricks. I was too honest. Like, I got off. And I didn't think my
And you weren't trying to cheat either.
Yeah,
So it's like,
I wasn't.
all those dudes were riding the line or
Yeah.
hot, and they were doing those things to get under. Like,
this freaking thing spikes to like 330. I'm like, oh my God. So the only saving grace, because the team wanted to kill me, is our second prize package was better than first. We got like new, cockers that came out back then. It was like the new generation WGP. Like, we just had a better prize package. So in the end, like, thank God, Paul Alders, who became the captain of the team, he said, guys, actually, yeah, we want to kick Dave's ass, but our prize package ended up being better. So that was the only thing. And we would literally take from that moment on, truly everything we made in our wins went into the team to pay for the next event or offset costs. Wow. And that's how Strange was founded. Like, we literally went tournament to tournament. And honestly, a lot of the amateur local tournaments is how we funded to go national. So it's a good lesson learned for teams that are up and coming. Like, we would go to all the local stuff, kick major ass, win guns or win whatever. And that just went back into the team pot, right? Like, we would go, okay, here's to help you offset what you paid, but your winnings goes to the team, not to, your personal gratification or money, right? But that we were all bought in. And I think
it's helping you in the long term. So
what's that?
It helps you in the long run. Like, because you were to just have to shell out more money and you would have wasted that.
But not a lot of, I don't think a lot of people are built, or you can correct me if I'm wrong, but at least, especially in that era, like, people weren't built that way. They're just like, if I win, hallelujah, like, I'm taking it and I'll sell it and that's my money. Like, we were all bought in. We're like, this is the system, this is the team, we're doing something special. And everybody was like pumped and gratified. It was almost like you win a tournament, we're like, hell yeah. Like, everybody was like hugging it out. It was like going to like, a bar party, and we're like, oh yeah, we got some more prizes. Let's go, and then
we won a ultimate airball field. We got 10 barrels.
Yeah. I mean, the prizes were wild back then, all kinds of weird shit. But so the second event, we go to Pittsburgh, and the Mounds Field. This is the first time I've ever played those things.
My favorite fields of all time to this day. Like, neither of them are still here, but they were my favorite fields ever.
So I heard your guys' interview with Adam, old AG there, and I'm glad you got his cell phone under control. But he
tried to blame me. I'm like, bro, I don't have an iPhone. I don't make that noise.
You can't put your phone on silent this era. Like, we got problems. But I will tell you, to Ryan's point, like, I've played everywhere in the world, like, and I can give you the pros and cons of like Toulouse, France, compared to playing in a soccer stadium. But that field was epic. Like, there's epic, and then there's just a different level. Now, this is the cool thing. Like, we had, I'm telling you, the fastest guy, he was a running back in high school, Mikey Nicholson. Ryan knows him. Every major
fast Mike,
it wasn't Fast Mike, which is funny. It was, he had a couple of nicknames, Mikey, but he was a lean, fast mother effer. And we got to play Image that tournament, and they had Lane and LD, who were arguably some of the fastest dudes in paintball at that time. This is a true story. So I think it's the main field was the Star Field, maybe. Is that the main one? So at that point, when you play a pro team, what was cool about being amateur, you're like, we've got nothing to lose. Like, if we score any points, awesome. That tournament, we play Avalanche and we play Image. We send Mikey to their side of the field. Mikey's standing on top of one next to the Bump Brothers.
These are like 20-foot tall mounds too. Like, you don't understand. You had to go up and over them. You weren't just standing and looking. Yeah.
He's going like this, right? He's standing on top. Literally, Lane and LD make arguably one of the best moves. They're at the 50-ish area. Mikey's just standing there shooting them next to one of the Bump Brothers, who's reffing, thank God. and they thought he was cheating. They're like, like, because they were like, they shot back at him, and thank God Chris jumped on him. He's like, hell, you can't. But they were so confused. There's like no way that this guy didn't cheat.
Yeah.
And that's how fast he was. So anyways, we go on to be arguably the best pro team at that time. Image was like the shit, right? So we go beat them. We go and beat a lot of games. We ended up almost beating Avalanche. We stalemated. Like, we had the flag. We didn't get it back. So like, people are starting to take notice. They're like, holy shit. The cool thing too about those fields, everyone could watch back then. Like, it wasn't in the woods where someone could tell a fable or some story and they're like, oh yeah, like we heard that team did good. Like, you were actually like getting recognition by every major team because they were watching in an X-ball kind of stadium style. Like, holy shit, who the hell?
They were the first concept fields before hyperball, before anything else, and it was recessed down so you could be on a hillside watching it. It was sweet for the time.
It was epic, right? So that tournament, two cool things happened. Finally, like Billy Saransky, he was with PMI or RP at the time, and he's like, we're shooting like the base marbleizer back then. Like, so he's like, hey man, we got knocked out. We're going to help you with their what's the glow ball or something. It was the
Gator Black.
No, the bright yellow special marbleizer paint. Golly, I can't believe I can't think of the name. Anyways, this thing had more paint in it than a can of paint, like one paintball.
Well,
So,
they also were like, 6'9", 5 back then. Which
yeah,
I know it doesn't seem like it makes a big difference, but half the time now we're shooting 6'8", 3, and it's a giant difference.
Yeah. So, which I feel awful because that stuff, like, it shot so damn good. It hit someone, it blew apart. So now all of a sudden the pros are giving us their leftover paint. Like, we're like, holy shit. Like, we're going out in the semis and just annihilating like the shit. Like, you're actually hitting people and it's like blowing them to pieces. Like, they're like, oh, like neon yellow walking off the field. Right. So we're like, hell yeah. So we get to the finals and he's like, shit, we're out of that paint. So we're like, dude, what do we do? So Billy or Adam's like, oh, we got something called smart paint. We're like, what the hell is smart paint? He goes, nobody's allowed to know about this paint. We're like, well, where do we get that? So they come in and it was like in this silver shell.
Silver shell, green fill.
Yeah, green fill.
They also had the blue pink, but the silver green was.
Yeah. The only difference between that and the glow ball, it didn't mark as well. Like it was brittler, but it didn't mark as well. But anyways, so then we get that and we just annihilate like paint back then. When you're an amateur team, you got stuck with the worst of the worst. And when you start, like, people start respecting you and you start moving up the ranks, like, boom, we like started getting the good stuff. So that was really cool. So we ended up
saying in just for respect to the paint companies, there's reasons for that too, because it's not like they're trying to make bad paint, right? They're making a bunch of different batches. And if you have to start delineating where it goes out to, they're obviously going to give it to their best pro teams first and then work their way down.
Sure.
It's unfortunate, but it's the way of life.
Mm-hmm. And that will never change, right? Like, that's just in every major sport.
The big change is that all paint's worse than it used to be.
Well, we can talk about that in a little bit. But so that tournament we win, boom, we go to Chicago. So we're on a high. We're like, all right, we took a second, first, go to Chicago, go annihilate everybody at Chicago. And again, to Aftershock's credit, they had some secret paint. And then this is when actually Billy and Adam started really taking notice and giving us some of their paint. They're like, hey, we're not doing so good, or hey, like, we've got some extra, like, you guys take it. You guys are representing us with barrels, like, go out there, kick ass. Right. So it was really cool. Like, the camaraderie of the pro teams that was coming in. Then we go to Nashville. Somehow we switch sponsors. We get JT. I've got the JT jersey, which was pretty sick. We only did it one tournament. and blow out everybody in that tournament, which was a really cool tournament. And then World Cup back then, you refed, like, or you have an opportunity to ref. We were the first amateur team to actually ever ref like a tournament back then for 50 points, which we
You
knew.
got the same points as winning the event for anyone
Correct.
who it wasn't around back then. So it definitely behooved you to ref an event.
Yeah.
Reffing World Cup came with a few benefits. When teams knew that you had to ref World Cup, they weren't going to screw you over when they refed you earlier in the year. So the All-Americans always ref, one of the first or second events, and then no one cared. They could just screw them the rest of the year. Yeah. So it was a little dirty, but it was also like important. So it's like, man, do I want to miss the big event of the year to ref it? Like Lockout always refed it, I think. A few teams always refed it because it was worth it. I don't know. For me, I'd always want to play that, even if it wasn't going to work out for me in the long run.
Yeah. Well, we played it every year after, but I think that was just like a badge of honor that they allowed us to ref it.
Oh, for sure, as an amateur team.
And then you go every tournament, win 3, take a second, and win. I'm sorry, and ref. I mean, the points, obviously, we destroyed. I can't remember who was in second place, but it was not even a close, second. But what that did do is they finally allowed the sponsors to go, we're paying attention to you guys. And as we went amateur A that next year, which is semi-pro probably in today's world, that's when Smart Parts is like, hey, we got to step up and do something more for you guys. We got to get you into the guns. We got to get you into the attire. And, I think that was a pretty special year for us because that was like, we literally went from getting no paint. Actually, I think that, and then the following year, we started getting like most of the paint covered, or like half the paint covered for tournaments. And we got like a couple more cases for practice. Like things started really working out. And then Smart Parts actually stepped up and gave us like, I think that year was like 50% off guns or something. It wasn't huge, but it was still big for that time. It was like, hey, we're going to give you can pick the Shocker. You can pick, that's when Graham, I don't know if Graham's still around, but Graham got us on the Evolution Cockers, which, and he'd be like, bloody hell. I can't remember the guy from Bell Sales. He'd be like, Peter did it again. Look at this, talk about, and then
Evolutions were nice though, especially those were probably the Evolution X's just to get people caught up. We're talking 2001. So the Impulses were just coming out. Shockers were still getting used some, but they were getting phased out because of their size. Evolution X's were still getting used, but that was probably the last year that they were really used much because electronic guns really started making huge leaps and bounds around that time.
Yeah, that's about right. So I will tell you that amateur year, we were using the P block Evolution actually. So that was before the Shark Gill came out.
Yeah.
The Shark Gill came out our pro year, but we had the P blocks, which were honestly, I think, sicker, by the way. Even
in some ways, I agree.
Yeah. Like it's just more of that authentic, original look, even though the Shark Gill was sick. Yeah. But we had the Shockers. The problem with the Shocker was, one, obviously the size, but two, the air capacity. Like it got 400 shots, I think, on like a 68.
The trick, you had to make cocktails, man. That's why we had the 3000 tanks. We'd fill them up with CO2 and then top them off.
Yeah.
With compressed air. Not the safest things. Don't recommend it. Don't do that. We never did either. But
yeah. I know that there was all kinds of shenanigans going, but we didn't have the sharpest tools in the shed that were playing up front using those things, but
they were heavy too. They were huge. They shot fantastically. There's no arguing that, but man.
Sickest shot, like that gun was, and it just was like, it was incredible, but nobody mid or back could use that gun. It just, the air on it sucked.
Yeah.
So those were the only two options that year. I think the Impulse maybe later in that year, but anyway. So then we go amateur A, come out in LA, and just, we knew number one rivalry, kick Naughty Dog's ass. Like that was our goal, to beat their ass. Rocky, Raymond, that whole group. They had a great team. Probably should have been pro that year. I think they held back because they didn't win the series, or maybe they won the series. I can't remember. Anyways, they held back, which was good for us. So we were like, okay, this is a good test. Nobody believed. They're like, oh, you guys, you got it easy in amateur B. You're not going to do good in amateur A. And we came out like, F everybody. We're going to go kick some major ass. And we blew them out of the water in LA. The second event was Gettysburg.
Mhm.
We lost to them in the finals.
I was 15 ref in that event.
Yeah. I mean, you remember that damn event, which was a cool event, to be honest with you. You guys had,
Other than the airlines,
yeah, that was
they were ridiculous. Back then, there's all boosters, and there might have been 50 people at each booster line trying to get filled up. It was a disaster.
Yeah, some of that stuff's a blur, but there was overall, you had the layout. A lot of times you just look for grass and like flat fields, like, and that was good, right? Like air and all that sucked, but you're like, thank goodness there's some grass and the fields are level. Like that was like usually a good tournament back then.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Chicago. That's when Trauma was coming up, and we just annihilated everyone again. There's like a Trauma head. We played Naughty Dogs in the finals, blew them out.
That was actually my first time playing against you guys. Was in the semifinals of that event.
Who are you with?
All Americans too.
Okay.
So we played you guys on the ladder field, and you had mentioned Graham Easton. You know, back then I was young, new on the team. They made me use like some of the last cases of that silver shelled smart ball that were in existence.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, you shouldn't be out there. You shouldn't be playing, because I think I was playing for him. Like, grew a great relationship with Graham long term. But at that point in time, you know, he's like, oh, you're using this. So everyone else is using, you know, pink filled paint. I have this green. And then like I ended up going to this like outside weird little knuckle on the center ladder, shooting like 7 of you guys, like provably, because I was the only person shooting green. And I think we only shot 8, and you guys won with like 2 bodies alive. And that knocked us out of the semis.
I think you guys used to wear those yellow jerseys then too, right?
We had the lime green Race Extreme jerseys that event, I believe. And then eventually we started going into like the all sublimated by the end of that year, and having flying eagles with the All American 2 shield everywhere.
Yeah, I felt bad for you guys. There was, I'm trying to remember when I would arguably say became friends with Ryan, was when we played at the Gardner's backyard. Mm-hmm. I remember like you almost played for us, because I was like, we got to pick this guy up. And that was one of the things for me. I always knew talent. Like I had a really good eye, and I'm like, this poor dude. And Ryan had like, you remember you had your fluff.
Yeah, short, highlighted, weird little hair.
Yeah, and he would wear his mask, and he had half his hair hanging out, dangling. And dude, we would annihilate everybody on his team, and he'd be the only guy left, and he'd always be in the 50. And he'd be by himself, and we're like, everybody just one ball, Ryan, like, don't hurt him, you know. Like,
I probably would not have liked knowing that, you know. I just give it to me, you know. I'm there for it.
No, but it was just respectfully, like we were all having a good time at Billy or Adam's parents' house. It was like random field. But the point was like, we wanted to pick you up. And I remember there was a moment like you almost came to play for us.
At the end of 2002, I thought I was going to be playing for you guys. You know, that year ended, was what it was. I appreciate everything that happened. Like, had that stayed 10 man though, but like Paul had already asked me, and BJ had asked me to like come over, and they said, and then it changed to X ball, and that like switched the dynamics a little bit. And that actually, you know, caused an interesting thing with Philly, because like that's when the All Americans changed to the Philly Americans. They invited me down to try out for them in X ball. I think you guys were just staying more local Florida there with X ball. Not sure exactly how it was going to be, or I don't remember exactly why it wasn't going to work out. Because I know if it was 10 man, I was 100% playing with you guys.
Yeah.
But then it went to X ball, and they offered me a tryout on Philly down at Fort Myers. But they told me like I couldn't tell anyone on my team. Yeah. And it's like, you know, John and Chris, the Bump Brothers, Graham Easton, like those dudes, like did a lot for me. And I was like, well, why? They're just going to get mad. They're going to get mad. I was like, I don't like that, but I'm still a little kid. I was like, okay, I guess. And then they end up finding out anyway, because obviously they told them. And now this just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I went down to that tryout, made the team, or they told me I made the team. I was like, I'm not playing for you guys. Why would I play with you guys? I didn't like any of this situation. And then, so I went back and played for, I guess, the All-Americans that year. We turned into Miami Effect, and then they eventually traded for me to get me anyway.
Yeah, I remember.
So it's weird how little things could change everything, you know, like had that knock on to X-Ball or that year, like I would have been your teammate back then.
Which would have been cool, you know. I mean,
I would have had a blast with you guys. I loved all you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, we all traveled together. It was a fun camaraderie, but you know, it was cool. So like rounding out the amateur A year, we ended up winning every tournament that year. I remember there was a guy on our team, Rob Peterson, and he goes, "I only got shot twice this entire season, like literally twice."
That's insane.
That's how
Rob was just showing in the back, but still.
I mean, but
no, that's insane.
You know,
there's no not insane about that.
Well, the other thing is we only lost 2 games that entire season, like 2 games, which in MPPL, like we were amateur A, we were playing pro teams, amateur teams. Like that was really, I think, our defining year to when we went pro.
And to give people an idea, you're probably playing 14 games an event if you're winning them. So you're talking 70 games. So you went 60-82.
Yeah. Yeah. It was insane.
Like, against pro teams, amateur A teams, like everyone.
I'd love to know like you said, like the true stat. Like, I mean, it is a really impressive, like we kicked the shit out of everyone. And we lost to the Naughty Dogs and we lost to one other team. I can't remember, but
probably some random team, amateur B team, something.
It could have been. Yeah. It could have been somebody, but I remember Rocky and them were pissed because, you know, they wanted to be who we were that year. That was their mission, which I respect.
Kind of why they were still there, and they thought that they were going to be.
Yeah, and they should have, could have, would have. But
well, it would have helped if the guys could shoot left-handed, and they didn't have to switch for the side of the field they were on.
Yeah, right. But it's kind of funny, like that pro year, I think, is where the story gets kind of interesting because once you turn 10-man pro back then, the politics and the bullshit that we went through was something I would say I never anticipated. Like, and I'll tell you, just time-wise, a few key things that happened. One, it was incredible. Smart Parts stood up and they go, everything's paid for. You're our flagship team. For better or worse, the All-Americans were just not doing very well at that point. And we became the hottest team in paintball. Some people will argue like Dynasty was right there, but I would argue our name at that time still stood out above it. And what was cool is we went into the first tournament. We actually reffed that tournament. For whatever reason, us and the All-Americans reffed LA that year. Then we went to the second tournament, which was Vegas. And there's trauma heads on this. We fielded by far the best team, I think, to this date. And Bob had his best team that tournament. Avalanche had their best team. Like everybody, that was a year like a lot of teams had their best teams. We had the fastest players on the team. There was a guy, Brian Saponaro. I don't know if you remember him, Ryan, but
barely. Like I didn't know him that well.
Yeah. So Brian was 5'5", just as fast as Mikey. And there's a video on Trauma Head. Him and Mikey ran to the 50 of a snake. And this is back when Bob just came out with the fast shooting intimidators and nobody was beating them. And we literally stuffed them down the tape line. Because everyone thought of us more of a defensive team. And I remember we got to the finals and we're like, F that, we're going full offense, which nobody expected. And we just annihilated them off the field. So that was Bob's best team. Like he had Little John, he had all the fast guys, Tyler Machad, all of them. Like it was a really sick team. And I
I
remember
always felt bad for little John. You know, he couldn't sweat. He didn't have sweat glands. I didn't know how he could play these tournaments. Remember one time I was like overheating, and he comes up to me like,
dude, I can't sweat.
barely know this guy. No, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm there a lot." And he's like starting to put like ice down rags under my armpits and on my wrists and stuff. I was like, "Oh, thanks." He's like, "Yeah, I can't even sweat, so I need this all the time. I'm either this or dipping in ponds."
That's wild. You know, I was just thinking too. Yeah, he was an interesting character, but really good player. We had Heavy D on our team who came from the All-Americans, from Aftershock originally, but that was a cool tournament. But we go to the next game, we go play Avalanche, and sadly, this is on camera too. But they let this is how shanky like the tournaments, like people don't know how professional it is like now compared to back then. They literally got a 30-second head start to their bunkers. So like they blew the thing and we're all standing in the starting pit. We're like, what are you guys doing? And they're all running, like Rocky's running, Lasoy's running down the field.
You're like, "It isn't gonna be good."
And they're like, no, you guys got to go. And we're like, no, they're like, this is the seconds were off or whatever. So anyways, we ended up running to like our front spots and they're like, you guys got to play this. We're not stopping the game. And we're like, are you shitting me? So anyway, we go in, they're like, it just turns into this bonanza of a cheating game. They somehow have 2 people alive. And you want to talk about being demoralized. Like we left that game demoralized. Like we were just deflated. Our morale was just done because we were like, we deserve to win this tournament and you guys just fucked us. Like we were so fundamentally pissed. Like we were like, this isn't right. Like we worked our asses. Like nobody knows, like we paid all of our way to finally get to this. And you're taking it away from us. Like nobody at the tournaments even cared back then. They were like, a lot of the pro teams all wanted to see us fail. Like they were just like, fuck you. We hope Strange fails. Instead of like being like, dude, we would be so happy for a team like you to come up and actually rock the system a little bit. But the old guard was like, you know, like GZ guys were on the sidelines making fun of us. They're wasted. And they're like, screw you, like go home, like go back to the amateurs. Like it was like a really low moment for us. And then we went into the third game against Aftershock and we put up a good game, but I think everyone was just
kind of out of it.
Yeah, we were just kind of out of it. So for our first pro tournament, we still took third, right? Like that was badass for an unknown or like
Unheard of back
then. And then second tournament, we go to Chicago. That's debatable. Oliver would have hit on his goggles, bop. But we end up taking, I think, second or third that tournament. But that trophy to me is my proudest moment in Atlantic City. And that one, we go in there, guns a-blazing, kicking everyone's ass. That was one of my best tournaments. And
no, you guys are undeniable there.
Yeah, but this is the best part. So last game of the semifinals, thank God for Trauma Head. I'm going down the field. There's like a minute left. I'm shooting like Jeremy Psalm, LB, Travis in the back. And they turn and all just start shooting the piss out of me. And I'm like, what the hell? And thank goodness Bob and Mark Nelson were there. And I ended up chasing Travis and we're good now, but I was pissed. I literally like charged. I was like, we're not getting fucked again. Like, I was like, there's no way this bullshit's happening again. Like I was ready to literally choke him out. Cause I was like,
things were a little more physical back then.
What's that?
The things were more physical back then. There was more fights and physical interactions. That was kind of the norm.
It was because it was a bit lawless, and you had pro teams reffing pro teams, so it was like you have friends on both sides. Like you guys are so blessed to have, you know, unbiased or agnostic supposedly refs, but we literally had pros that had to be like, to your point earlier, like shit, they're going to be reffing another tournament, so I gotta know how to politically. So, anyways, we get the hang automatically because they were like, that, thank goodness, they're like, that's bullshit. But they're like, you're sitting 3 games. I think I got suspended for 2 games. So we had to play with 9 people.
Yeah.
9 people. They're like, you're out. I go in. I think there was one more semi game. We ended up, thank goodness, winning that, which ironically was against GZ. And then we go to the finals, and I had to sit out those games. We played and beat the first team, which was SC Ironman, with 9. And then we had to go play someone else. And then it was down to us and Dynasty again. Yeah. And that's, again, another video on Trauma Head. I'm finally allowed back in. I'm like, thank God.
Tiger's out of the cage. Let's go.
Yeah. Put me in, coach.
I wish the end part of the story is good. Bad part of the story is I happen to be on, play the freaking back Dorito. The sun's in the face, look right at him, sweet spot, and get slammed right first ball. And I'm like sitting there in the dead box, and I'm like, and all you can do, like in those moments, and Ryan, you've probably been there, and maybe you as well, how like you're just like, I put so much into this game, and like I was so motivated to win that for the team, and I was just sitting there as the first person shot going, how the hell did you kick so much ass this tournament to get the team here, and you're fucking dead, you know? I'm like, oh, and lo and behold, the team came through, you know.
That's what makes great teams, the ability to pick each other up, the ability to not get greedy in moments because you know that everyone else around you can have that.
Yeah.
Looking for that, you know. It's like, man, that was probably more brutal than the 2 games you had to sit, and they started with 9. You know, it's no different starting with 9 than getting one person shot off the break, but it is mentally. And then to go through those 2 games and now be alone in the dead box again, really alone in solitude. Like at least when you were watching it suspended, it was like, this was stupid. You know, we got screwed. I reacted to that, but now you're in the dead box. It's like, man, I didn't.
Yeah, it was a low point, but winning that tournament, and if you ever have an opportunity to win a professional tournament, as you guys may know, like there is nothing. People don't realize how hard it is, especially back then. Like back then, nobody wanted us to win. Like we had to beat the refs, we had to beat the other team, we had to even beat some people on the sidelines. Even though majority of amateur teams, there were pro players that loved us. Like we were very, very like, you know, had a lot of fans. The old guard did not want us to succeed. It was such a political, like, do not let Strange win this tournament. Like we don't want to fundamentally see that happen. And to overcome all that to me, out of all the shit I've won, like, that was it, you know. And
it's earned. Nothing there was given to you. The fighting claw for it. It probably came later than it should have. And like I understand the position from the old guard too, because it's like you never want new people making a club bigger when it was like, you know, a tight knit group of people that have won before, right? Yeah. And then someone comes in and stirs it up. Of course, they're never going to want that, but it is progress. It is to everyone's benefit to have that happen if they earn it, you know.
And maybe, you know, I see the paintball fit guys, and I've got a lot of respect for them. You know, like I don't know the full story, but I do like the fact that there are gritty people out there that are like, I love doing this. I'm passionate about it. I'm doing it for the right reasons. It's not like, hey, I've got the highest budget. I'm paying all these people all kinds of money. Like, I've got a lot of friends on Damage, and I told Brian Smith, who's a dear friend, I just saw him at Wayne's World, and I'm like, dude, you guys could have done it without Mouse and Marcel. Like, I respect and I like those guys. Like, I know they're great players, but I'm like, I love freaking winning when you're like, I'm doing it with people that I'm grinding with that been through the thick and thin, you know, that are not here. Again, I'm not saying I think it's great people are getting paid. I love all that. And I'm glad that there's a vehicle for that. I know there's a different level of feeling when you're winning with an ecosystem of people that have been through all the gnarliness and challenge and grit that you fought through thick and thin, that the woulda, shoulda, couldas, that all the stuff that should have never happened, and you win. Like that to me is like, I love playing. Like when I used to practice, I love being on the team that's not supposed to win. When we practice, I'm like, give me the shit, guys. And they're like, why would you want that? And I'm like, because I'm going to make them better.
And I want to prove you wrong.
Well, prove you wrong. But I was like, I'm going to help show them. I'm like, and you guys probably know, like, if you can go and walk a player and say, if you come here, your job's to do this. I can walk a player here. Your job's to do this. And then you get them to buy into the system and what you're doing. That's fucking rewarding, man. Like I used to train kids. How I paid through college was through training paintball. And one of the coolest things ever, actually, funny story is I got these 5 kids from Tallahassee. I built a paintball field in Tallahassee, paid for paintball, or I'm sorry, I paid for college doing training at in Tallahassee when I went there. There was no paintball field. There was like a renegade field. The point is I got these kids to follow. They grinded on Wednesdays. They pay me $5. We do a training session. I'd have like 6, 7. Then all of a sudden the parents would show up. And so, I didn't even know, like some of these parents were doctors, lawyers, lobbyists, like Tallahassie's. The
like $5 is the best deal ever.
Well, they're hand tipping me 50 bucks, $100. They're like $5. Like, and I'm like, well, that's my beer money. Or like, hey, I would just like doing it.
I would have done this anyway. If I'm at the field, I'll help people.
Like 5, I would have been fine. But they were just like, no, like you deserve this. And by the way, Timmy's getting good grades now, and Johnny's doing this, and I won't even let them come to practice unless they're getting good grades. So thank you, right? Like, but they went to World Cup, this team of 5. They ended up being the Naughty Dogs, like Rocky's team. And I remember Rocky.
It's the bane of Rocky's existence, aren't you?
Yeah, like, I got a lot of respect for him, but I mean, it happened to be the Naughty Dogs, right? But I remember Rocky walking on the field, and he's like, "Who the hell are these retards?" Like, he's like, "We're going to destroy them," right? And I knew, I was like, I had a good team. Like, I was like, I knew exactly how, and it was actually on the Smart Parts field, an old 10-man. They had the crosshair that was like in the center. Black one. That year was the black one. But anyway, so like I love, like, when you're the underdog, like I like that. Like I love that feeling. Like when you go in as the favor, it kind of sucks because then everyone's expectation is you should beat them. Like I like being the underdog. Yeah. Like and that's, I think
I do too, and I like being able to like dictate people's emotions on the field with little things like tone or the way you converse on the field or your posture. Like to see players get confidence instilled in them, that's the way they truly can perform their best. So it's like, yeah, you can teach people what to do, you can teach people form, you can teach people factor, but when you really affect them the most, it's when you teach them to believe in themselves and to not question themselves. So when you see that like flourish, it is so rewarding that it doesn't matter if it was $5 or the $100 or $0. That is the benefit you get.
It's a reward is uncanny. Like that to me was the biggest reward. It was training kids, building a paintball field in a community that had nothing, and seeing it thrive and everyone just having a great time. And that was a fun time back in those early 2000s. And then all of a sudden Strange, and I'll cut some of the story short, but from that pro tournament, we ended up getting a tour bus. Like we were the first.
You were the team that was originally selling local prizes to help cover some of the costs. And now you're traveling around the country in a tour bus that's plastered in your Strange logo.
Yeah. And people don't realize, like Paul and I went to Arcadia, Florida. There was a guy named Paul Richards, RIP, incredible coach. He wrote a story in PGI, which is an old magazine, about this story. But we went to mid-Florida. Paul and I went to the graveyard of buses.
No, that was a piece of trash when you guys first got it. I remember.
I walked in and I'm like, what the hell is this? And at that point, I'm working for the team. And Paul's like, yeah, you and I are going to clean this. And I'm like, what? This is going to take us like 6 months. It was like disgusting, right? But we ended up being the first pro team sponsored by Rockstar Energy Drink. We were before Dynasty, by the way. And we converted the bus, and we had Jaeger machines in the back, which you've probably seen, Ryan.
I've
And
been in there once or twice, but Jaeger's disgusting. But to this
No,
day,
it's
I
not.
can't.
well, look, at that time,
At that time, it was delicious.
and the whole entire bottom of the bus, Rockstar was filling it with Rockstar
Okay.
energy drinks. So like, it was like we went from nothing to this incredible experience. You know, like I just
It had to be surreal, like because that time you don't feel the progression, and then all of a sudden it's there, and you look back and it felt like yesterday. It was something completely different.
yeah, and but you know, like when you put pressure, what I've learned in life is like when you put pressure, like I want that, it's harder to achieve it. Like, but if you just live in the moment and go, hey, I'm going to do the best every moment I can, knowing like, hey, that's kind of my long distance goal, but don't overly focus on it, right? Just focus on being the best, showing up, doing everything, and like things will naturally unfold in a positive way for you. Like going to Europe, like I don't know how you guys do it now. Like I heard it's like limited to 1 or 2 people. Like when we went to Europe, dude, I will tell you, going to Europe with your team is one of the sickest experiences I've ever had. Going to Amsterdam, going to Toulouse, France, going to England, going to Portugal. Like we were like, it was insane. Like, and the best part, the pro teams, like we all hated each other in the US. The 4 or 5 that went there was like a band
Best
of
friends.
best
Yeah.
friends. Like
Yeah.
the best. I was like, why were we all like this way when we were playing 10-man? But
Well,
it-
5 days later, you weren't going to be like that either. You know, it was weird. It was that moment, that place creates that, and without that, you wouldn't have had that. You wouldn't have had those friendships.
yeah,
Like I was happy that I got to, experience that side of international travel before it is what it is today. Kind of worked out well for me, when I started, growing my family, having a daughter and stuff was kind of when I was like, man, I don't really even want to go over there anymore. Play by myself with another team. Like that travel doesn't sound that interesting to me anymore. When we went over there, we would always be over there as a team, responsibly as we could. But then we'd always spend the next 3 days somewhere else because, flights around there were cheap. And now we're just getting to live as growing adults with your best friends somewhere else in the world that you would have never been to without that.
So I have to rewind back to the Jaeger. The worst I've ever gotten sick in my life was at the drop zone at a casino night. I loved Jaeger. I drink it straight. I was straight hot out of the handle. No, I mean hot, not even cold. Like I'm like, give it to me, daddy. Like I drank like 2/3 of a handle of Jaeger and had like 11 Jello shots. Sickest I've ever been in my life. Ever. Dude, it was no.
So you would have loved hanging out with us. So this is another true story I just thought of. There was something called the smart card that Paul Alders, our captain, somehow finagled that at Adam Gardner. It was like
an employee at the time.
Somehow we got an unlimited credit card for the team. So Ironman, anybody, like we were out at every major bar, whether it was usually, I think after the tournaments, maybe sometimes during, but mostly we were pretty disciplined. But after the tournaments, and Paul would line up Jaeger bomb shots, like 100 of them, like literally walk up to the bar to 100. Ryan, he could testify, like people would show up and it was just mayhem of just Jaeger bombs going off. Everybody was like, Paul, get the smart card out. Because, I mean, it was.
And he didn't always get it out. He didn't abuse it too often. But the times he did, I always remember too. Because, we'd be back fresh from a tournament. And, Paul, what is this? We won. Did we do good?
I give Adam a lot of credit. But we literally took advantage. Like, people would be like, smart card. And Paul was like, let's go, and like,
peer pressure.
See, Jaeger bombs were never my thing. If I was taking a party shot of any kind, it was either a dead Nazi or a flaming Dr. Pepper. All those all day. Now, dead Nazis, that'll be a good time until the next day.
I don't even know what a dead Nazi is.
Yeah,
but
it's a shot of Jaeger, shot of Rumple.
Oh,
So good.
apparently Rumplemints it's making a comeback. I didn't even know. Like that
Oh
was
hell yeah, dude.
there was something called a liquid cocaine when I grew up. That was that
Yeah.
was Jaeger, Goldschlager, and Rumplemints. And that was
Do you remember the Goldschlager, the Aftershock? It had like rock candy in it.
Yeah.
It's all
Remember
Red Bull.
Aftershock? You remember Hypnotic, that blue crap? That stuff
Yeah.
was awful.
Yeah.
That was bad. Yeah, I had a bad night throwing up after that. And I was like, either an alien's in me or I'm dying. I was like, something's going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of this is a quick true story. So I went to France. We were Ryan knows a guy named Little Dave who's on our team. We had me and Little Dave. We were going to a bar, and this is when Red Bull and vodka was really popular. And we're in France, so Grey Goose, supposedly a French vodka, which later finding out may not be so French. But anyways, the guy goes, "What do you want? What do you want?" I go, Goose and Red Bull. He goes, "Oh, okay." He gets a Pilsner out and fills it with ice. He goes, "You tell me when to stop pouring." I go, "Yeah, okay, that's good." So he's pouring, and it's going all the way to the top, and he's looking at me. He's like, "Stop." I go, "No, keep going."
No, you're good.
"Stop." I go, "Keep going." He goes, "Stop." I go, "No, keep going." And he gets like right to the brink of it. I go, "Stop." He goes, "Oh." Then he grabs the can of Red Bull. He goes, and there's like literally a little brim left. He goes,
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh." He goes, "Tonight, you're going to die." And little Dave's like, "Oh no." He's like telling me, he's like, "All right, Dirty, don't do anything dumb tonight. Like we got to do this and that." I'm like, "Don't worry, buddy. I got this."
And don't tell me now. Now's not when I need to know this.
Did y'all ever in your journeys have a flaming Dr. Pepper?
I'm sure I did. I've heard of it. I never asked for one. Like we were
guarantee
big on
you've had
Jaeger
one.
bombs and the for whatever reason and the Red Bull.
You guys could have been sponsored by Jaeger. The amount of your Jaeger fridges.
Yeah, it was wild. Like Paul was a big proponent of that. He just pushed it, and well, once I introduced it to him, but he pushed it pretty hard, and those were good times. I mean, there was no doubt Europe and just a lot of people didn't even know what that was when we went to Europe. So we like kind of introduced it to a lot of countries, which was kind of fun too at that time.
Because it almost came from there, and then they just it wasn't popular because it was probably like their old person drink if they were feeling sick, all the botanicals and stuff. They're like, "Oh, I'll sip on this. I'm sick. It makes me feel good."
Yeah. Like it was weird, but those were all incredible times. Like the bus, I think we were the first team to ever do something like that.
Maybe the only team. I can't think of another team that has a wrapped bus and traveled around like that. And you guys like staged out of it at events because there wasn't like pits like there is now. And it became what you guys were. I mean,
but do you remember too? We did the haircuts. Like we were doing innovative shit back then, like in the sense that we were
doing like milk challenges, the gallon milk challenges, haircuts, all that kind of stuff. You're always keeping it entertaining and being connected with everyone who,
You were that kind of dumb?
What?
The milk challenge? You were that kind of dumb?
I've done the milk challenge multiple times, dude. It's not good.
Yeah, I don't remember the milk challenge, but what I'll tell you we would do like the craziest haircut, and these kids would line up for a free t-shirt and they'd let us buzz their heads.
Some Haterade t-shirts.
Yeah. And we would do the most wild stuff you've ever
cut like half of their head off, leave half of it full cut. You guys weren't being nice. You weren't giving them a decent haircut.
No, I mean that
almost never.
Yeah, no, I mean it was that, and then we had beer pong going on. Like it was like a fun time. Like I don't know what you guys do this day and age, but
nothing like that.
Back then it was like the strange bus is here. they're about to go do some wild shit, and we'd pull
That
out.
allows you to become so relatable to people. It allows you to gain fans
Yeah.
so much, and that's what got you guys the sponsorship and allowed you guys to progress the way you did. I mean, it's overlooked in a lot of senses, and now I'm not saying people take it too seriously, because like you always take things seriously, but you can play more, free spirited if you're also enjoying all the ancillary times around the thing. If you can make work seem not like work, it's fun.
Yeah.
And you're more successful in it.
Oh, I've got a recap from our deal. I got a after the tournament though, from last year.
Which deal?
We can't talk about it on here.
You got to shave your beard?
No, that's what you want to do to me. I'm gonna get you this year. We'll share it with Dave after this.
No, we'll see. I don't know. Can't always listen to Hal like that, Who knows?
It's again, I follow everything closely. I've seen what like Hormesius has done. I've got to Oliver's.
Yeah, they made you that nice brown Dirty Dave one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first named one to do that, and that was an honor to me. Like that was something very, very cool that
it is.
I didn't expect. One thing
Respect
I didn't
from your peers, and like for me, like having people like you and like talking to you, like we're friends, but like I also looked up to you in a lot of ways, and like to have you say kind things about me is rewarding, and that helps me keep going as well.
Ryan, I can't tell you how I've sent you Instagrams. I'm like, dude, I'm so proud of you. Like it literally lets me live through you in so many ways. Like I can't even explain. Like it's so cool where I hit the highest peak of paintball, and I'm very grateful for that. The last 2 years of my career, I went to the Raiders. Unfortunately, there were some bad decisions made by some folks on the team, and we decided to part ways. And that was the hardest thing in my career. It's very sad in a lot of ways. The way that everything unfolded really sucked. With Doc's team, honestly, Oliver asked me to go to the Ironman, and that I was geared up and ready to go. And if it wasn't for Paul Richards and a lot of the talented guys that still play, like Brian Smith, Holiday, Paul Everett.
Kimmy was probably on that team. He's not playing still, but
Ross O'Rourke, who a guy named Chris Bell. Like
Ross was a hell of a player.
Ross,
very, very unique. He's one of those like step sideways, shoot all weird, shoot two balls, but kill two people.
Shoot through his leg.
Yeah.
Accurate. Like we called him the Alabama Tick. He was like insane how athletic. I mean, he ended up being a Marine. So like,
dude, he used to be in the end time, like right before he left and like joined special forces and stuff.
Yeah.
He'd be practicing with us, and he'd be wearing like leg weights and like a chest weight and stuff.
Oh, no shit.
Then he gave himself shin splints from doing that, and we'd call him like Mickey 2 splints. He'd get all steamed up about it. But he was one of my
I missed him. I missed him. He was a good one.
How did I know we're coming up on 2 hours.
I do want to have you on again, because we're gonna want to have like some more extended
I have
stories.
so many questions, but I do want to. What, right?
I do, man. I do too, and I know.
Yeah, right.
We haven't spoken in probably like 15 years, which is crazy. Even though
wild.
Oh, your voice sounds the same. You look the same, and when you aren't needy for a relationship, it just came naturally. Like nothing really changes in that. Like I still, like if next time I see you in person, you're gonna get a big hug, and it'll be like nothing changed.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say this. You made this. You don't even probably know. This is a old Impulse frame. So
that's when I reverse magneted it for you.
Yeah. And when we Smart Parts eventually made us move to the Impulse, and I used to shoot a Cocker, the Evolution, and we wanted something like the triggers sucked on the original Impulse. So I think Ryan maybe invented this. I don't even know, but. Anyways, it was, I like, this is like my de-stressor. I keep it by my desk, but I remember being in the Smart Parts factory, and the other reason, like when you make it to the pinnacle, is when they let you go run and do the tour and get all the free shit. Like all Americans got it all the time, but when we finally,
they used to just give people shopping carts and just run through there.
and I got that opportunity one time, and I swear to you, I heard all the stories. I took advantage that time, but Ryan was always so awesome. Like he, luckily for better or worse, was not jaded because he was still kind of on the All Americans too. But he like, guys, let them go do their thing because I got the cooler shit. And he would always like have like the secret stuff, and he'd be like, come on over to the mad scientist area. So whether it was like gun tech stuff, like we were all interested in that. Like the All Americans guys.
You guys were a nerdy team. All Americans were like seen as nerds, but you guys were more like nerdy, fun, video games, have a good time.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like the side of things.
Either the Xboxes together and play Halo, like. But we were interested on really like we were the first to realize like there are other elements of performance in the guns. Like how do we like understand how to make the gun shoot faster, and what are you guys doing to help achieve that, right? Like where a lot of the pro teams are like, just give us the best fancy looking gun. They didn't really give two shits other than that. Here Ryan's got his little dungeon there, and he's like, all right, come over here. I've got this trigger and this thing. And it's like helping us understand, like, this does this. It was like the blue pill and the red pill. He's like, this one will do this and this one will do that.
Yeah.
So
you could like fine tune it for your own like, preferences, you know?
Yeah. I have two things I want to ask you.
Yeah.
First one is, how'd you get the nickname Dirty Dave? I'm always intrigued by nicknames. Because they're, as I know, they're one of those things that are earned. Yeah. I think there's always a really cool story behind everyone's nickname.
No, it's a good question. It's funny. There's a lot of folklore over the years. Some true that end up coming from the name, but originally, honestly, what happened, and I think Ryan hit the nail on the head early on. We had like 3 mics on our team. Like we had Mikey, Fast Mike, another Mike, and we had Little Dave and Dave. And like we were amateur B. We were playing in South Florida. There was this team called Rebellion back in the day that was like our nemesis. And I'll never forget, like I've got my original jersey, which is kind of a cotton long sleeve. And we were playing and everybody like pick like nice spots. Like, and I would just be like, I'll go into the shit. Kind of like Ryan, right? Like you're just like, I'll go where nobody else wants to go. So like the
all fun doing it.
Yeah. And then pristine. And like, I came out of these like in South Florida, they call them Malaluca bushes and all this back then. We're playing 10-man. And I come out, I've got dirt in my teeth, mud on my face, and like shoot 5 guys, and they're just like, Dirty Dave, like what the hell? Like everybody's like clean, and like I've got mud all over me with like 5 people dead. And so like just somebody, I think it was like Jimmy Sareva was like, Dirty Dave. And then like every practice or tournament, somehow I'm always getting stuck going to the spot nobody wanted to go through, like the mud spot. Like in South Florida, you get a lot of like random rainstorms, and like I would go to the hyperball tube that nobody wanted to go to that had like all the mud and built up paint and whatever. And I'm like sloshing through there, coming up, shooting people like. So that's how it stuck. And then over the years, of course, as you get older, there was stories that came from that.
Yeah. Dirty.
Wow. That's awesome. And the other one, I do always like to end.
Before you end, I will real quick, you can keep this as brief as you'd like, but I actually never know how the strange name came about or the logo. And I'm always curious about things like that. Growing up, liking sports, I hated your guys' name originally. Like I've grown to love it, but like I'm like your name wasn't a plural noun, so I had problems with it. We're
the strangers.
Well, you know what I mean? Like everything is, now sports are going away from that. Like soccer's going away from it. Other sports have now baseball teams. I mean, I played on a paintball team that's, Heat, same thing. But
Yeah.
every other thing, it's Lions, Steelers, 49ers, Cowboys. It's plural nouns, and
It's different though,
it
which
was
I like it.
untraditional. And you guys were one of the first teams. And paintball, I felt like, did it more than other sports. We had Trauma, Strange, a plethora of other teams. But I was always curious where it came from, and I don't know how I don't know.
So I wish I can give you the complete answer. Just for those that don't know, here's the original Strange logo. This is when I first started.
Oh yeah.
I mean, literally, right? So back then, I'm coming from a team called Palm Beach Predators. Let me show you this real quick. Which this logo kind of looks pretty cool, right? This is an original Cotton JT. This is like the pro team, right?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional sports name.
Yeah, you got a shark, looks pretty sick. You're like, oh, that's cool, right? And they're like, oh yeah, you're going to Team Strange. You're like, that's
then you got the Saw logo,
Yeah,
in the original.
whatever that thing is, right? So that team started early on, apparently in the Tampa region. BJ can probably give you the exact answer, but there was some.
I need to get in contact with BJ again. He
I
disappears pretty easily after.
I can get you his cell phone. We were connected for the first time in a long time, 2 or 3 years ago.
I'm glad, because I had talked to him about maybe 4 or 5 years before then. It to me, it seemed like it hurt him that he still wasn't in contact with so many guys, but effort has to come from both sides, and it's.
We did a 24-hour game, and that smooths everything over. And
Wayne's World.
yeah, I'll tell you, you both need.
I'm gonna come down and play that with you guys.
What is it?
And you got it.
It's a 24-hour scenario game.
I'm gonna tell you a great.
I'm in.
I got to tell you guys this. So, Lasoya was like our nemesis. Avalanche, our nemesis. Rocky was like one of our close buddies, but I knew him from Nemesis. So like he got, into the cool, team through Avalanche when they were in the push videos, all that good stuff. But anyway, I haven't seen Chris in forever. So this past year we go to Wayne's World. I don't own a gun. I own a mask. I own an old NXE bag, which was a sponsor of ours. I've got a bunch of random stuff in there I bring, and people love seeing like my old like jerseys and stuff. So we go there. Chris is there, and somehow we all end up on the same team, which was awesome. I'm like, how the hell in my entire career, like we've never been on the same team. So, all you do is it's a party. It literally is a tailgate party. And I mean, I'm telling you, if you see some of the videos and photos,
I love that you guys made your reunion out of that.
Yeah.
I'm 100% doing that with you guys in the next
I swear to you will probably go, I don't know if I can play a professional paintball event again, because this is way better. I mean,
no. You know me. I love all paintball.
I know. I'm just saying
that's way better for one night, but you don't get to compete. You don't get the same highs.
Trust me, it gets competitive. But anyways, the quick point of the story. So we're all the whole old Strange team. We've got some of the Damage guys like Timmy and Alex Spence and some of the old guys. And we're all like in this big entourage going out there. Brian Smith like tore his Achilles or something. So he gives me his whole like gun Lux Damage setup. Like I don't even know how this thing works. I'm like, oh, sweet. Like Ryan's like, here, shoot it. I'm like, don't. This thing's like shoots 52 balls a second. I'm like, holy shit, this is badass. I'm like, okay, thank you. Go out there, run. We're all like, my backpack's filled with like bush lights. Like I'm like, all right, I got like 3 pods and like 8 bush lights. So I'm like feeding everyone, having a great time. Run to the first thing, and the gun goes click, click, click. And I'm like, dude, I don't get to play. And I'm like, the first freaking thing, I don't know what happened, right? Like I guess the loader, some
could have been anything though. You weren't going to know how to fix it because
I don't know
any of yours.
I'm like 10 beers deep. So this is the best part of the story. Chris Lasoya runs up and he goes, Dirty Dave, what's going on? I go, my gun's not working. He goes, oh, let me fix it. And he's like gun teching my gun on the middle field. And I'm like, how do I take a photo of this? Like
Yeah.
in all my career, who would have thought Chris Lasoy is gun teching freaking my gun of all people in the middle of the field? And he comes back and he's like so happy. He's like, I got it working, man. Shoot it. He's like, test it out, you know.
That's
I'm
awesome.
testing out. I'm like,
That's
all right,
awesome.
man. And then me and him are like going out shooting together. I'm like, that's a cool moment where you go, dude, like we were rivals, like enemies for the longest time. And him and I,
Paintball is so much more tribal then. So like when you say that, it means more than what it means now.
oh, dude, but it was like we sat down and we hashed out like a lot of shit. It was like a therapy session. I'm like, you screwed us here. And he's like, well, you screwed that. And I'm like, you screwed that. But it was so cool. And I'm like, you can't have that like at a tournament, right? Because tournament, you're on, everyone in theory is the enemy, and you got to be laser locked and focused, which I totally respect. The cool thing is this, everyone's having a good time. It's like no matter what's happening, nobody, if you're having a bad time, you're like, you got to leave. Like, which nobody is. Like, it's bonfires. We call it Taliban beer pong, where that's a whole nother story, but it is the best time ever.
I love it. Love it. Now you can ask your question now. We
Fair
are
enough.
having you back on sometime because I could
Oh,
talk to
yeah.
you all night, brother.
Same. I got questions, but the last one I got for you for the evening is I always ask either Brian or our guest about what is some dad or life advice you could give to anyone that's listening.
I love that question. You know, what I haven't shared with you guys and post paintball and how weird life works is, as Ryan knows, it's a grind to play professional paintball. We were sold this dream, ESPN, and I wrote it as long as I could. And life is really weird in the sense that for some reason I knew it was my time. I thought I'd be playing just like Ryan to this day. Like that was my plan. Like it was like drag me off until that day. But something in me said, it's your time. Lo and behold, I started a career 6 months in, get diagnosed with Hodgkin's disease, which is lymphoma cancer. And my dad passed away from leukemia. So I watched chemotherapy and him within 3 months pass away because he didn't get treatment. And that's a whole different story. But the point was, I went through, if I didn't in that moment get a real job and get health insurance, I don't know how I would have even gotten the care that I got. And I go into this thing, literally lost all my hair, eyebrows. I mean, port in the chest, 3 hours every other week, a cocktail, and sitting next to women with breast cancer, men with brain cancer back then. And it was like the most humbling experience. And the weird thing was, I was like, I felt in my life full. Like I was like, I've traveled the world. I've got to hang out with incredible people, see the most amazing things. And at 27 years old, like that, most people didn't have those experiences. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm like, if this is it, I'm good. Like I literally felt whole in my life. And the only reason was my mom. Like my mom, I saw her already lose my dad and I was an only child. So I was like, fuck, I got to beat this for her. Like I'm motivated, like more than ever before. Made a prayer, regardless of what you believe in. I said, hey, God, like, look, I don't care what comes down this earth, but I need you to help me in this moment.
Yeah.
2 months in, I go to my oncologist, Dr. Perry. I said, hey, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but I don't have cancer anymore. He goes, Dave, you're the most positive person ever to come in this damn hospital. He's like, the old women love you. The old men love you. Like you keep everyone vibrant in here. Nobody even knows why a young guy. And like, this is again, at a time where pre-internet, like we didn't have shit. Like, so all I'm doing in this place is talking to these people because that's all you could do for 3 hours or sit there and I don't know, cry, you know? So go through that. And he goes, all right, I got good news and bad news. I go, okay, what the hell's that? He goes, good news is we can't find a trace of cancer in your body, and we have no explanation how. Bad news is you're going through 4 more months because we want to ensure this shit never comes back, right? And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, okay, I got this, and coming out of that was like the most incredible experience of my life. And it's reshaped me in so many different ways because paintball helped me be very blessed. I've done very well in this world, but I would say a lot of the lessons I've learned were through all those hardships I shared with you guys tonight. And I would hope anybody that's going through whatever paintball career, I know I may not be a name like some of them know, like in the modern age, but I can tell you the grit, the grind, the passion, the heart, the soul, the commitment, the dedication. I had everything. And I didn't have it in an age that has the amount of access that the modern age has. I didn't have paint at $25 a case. I didn't have a lot of people that I could rely on to help pay my bills. Like I did it all on my own through hard work, hustle, which meant more to me when we won. Like those wins meant more because we would go to practice. And I remember Mikey, who was on my team, and he's like, I only have $70. And I'm like, hey man, I got the extra 10 for you to help cover practice, and other people would chip in here and there, or, hey, I got your lunch or that bagel or something. And I think, all of a sudden all that strengthened me to go into an unknown territory of cancer where most people are not. And I was in stage 3. Like they're like, dude, you're not in a good spot. Like I was like stage 4, you're done. Like stage 3, you're like, yep, you're not in a good spot, but we think we can help you. And I've been blessed. Now I've got 3 beautiful girls, great career. And my smiles come from Ryan, right? And again, love to follow you and see how you're doing in paintball, but it comes from seeing my friends that are still doing it and knowing like, hey, I'm out there with you. Like in a weird way, like I may not be playing every day, but I'm out there with you, and do it for me, like do it for yourself, but know that I'm there, like your biggest fan. And I just hope like this next generation, in my opinion, don't take it for granted, man. Like when I go back and think about when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, every moment I should have failed. Every moment I should have never made it. Every moment I could have easily just said, this is not for me. But if you just stick, you learn like one step at a time. Don't look at the end result. Just take one step, one step, one step. You'll get to the goal. It's like working out. If you want to look like a certain physique or do something, like you can't just go, well, I'm going to take the shortcut and do steroids or TRT or whatever people do these days. Yeah, that's an option, but that's not sustainable because I know what happens when you come off that stuff, you're worse off, right? No, I'm going to work out every day. So what I do, I wake up every morning, I work out, I eat healthy, I try to be conscious of certain things. I love beer, but everything's in modesty. And I just think, I hope this next generation appreciates all the gifts that have been given to them. Ryan, I hope you can share like our old stories to the new and just keep people grounded to go, guys, like you're living in an unprecedented time. Like you guys have got it better than any generation of paintball, and take advantage of this and do it for us. If it's TV, God bless you guys. Like this Buccaneer Stadium, I'm your like biggest, like go get that shit, man. Go get it. And let's do this. Like I've been sold the dream. I missed out on the dream, but I fought for the dream and I still fight for the dream for you guys. But this generation, you guys have a chance. Like I think this thing has a chance if it's done right. And I just pray that everybody just puts that extra little bit in and maybe be present. Like that's one thing I would just say, like, enjoy the moment. Like if there's one thing I could just take away from it, enjoy the present moment. Go into this season, enjoy it, man. Whether you win or lose, learn from it. Like, that's the thing. Learn. As long as you're learning, you'll always get better. If you're a woe is me and you're going to blame somebody, then you're never going to win. You're never going to succeed. You got to go, what is the lesson I just learned, and take it from there and continue on. And
100%.
that's it. And I will tell you lastly, thank you guys. Like, this has been a special thing for me. I wish, as you could tell, I've got more stories I could share from on top of stories, that stuff that will blow your minds. And I'm sure other people do too, but I really appreciate you guys doing this. And I think this is a cool moment, and I hope I can help, even if it's one person, to just go, man, that's cool. And hope you guys can help other people.
Yeah.
That's our exact mindset. And honestly, everything you said is kind of just like believing in the power of positivity. Because whether you're talking about like what you're trying to achieve in your profession or paintball or a sport or battling cancer, when you're positive, I think it just releases all these good endorphins inside of you and allows you to be at least at your prime that you can be. But it also affects everyone around you. And when you're negative, people don't want to be around you, and that drains them, right? When you're positive, you lift them up. And when you lift them up, they lift you up. And it's a contagious thing that can happen that makes everything better. So like, I know it sounds cliche and stuff, but I really do like believe in like being that difference, being positive. And the worst thing that can happen is you enjoy the ride to the destination more than you would have if you were negative. Yeah. Even if the results didn't change, you still enjoy that process more. So like, what's the downside of it? Why just grovel in negativity and always complain about something? Like if I spilled, this wine glass I was drinking on my lap, that could make it ruin my night. Or like, oh, that was ridiculous. Yeah. I'll change my pants. Who cares? Yeah. Like it's weird because I think sports taught me that mindset, and I don't know if I would have had it without it. But I don't think anyone can know what their life would have been like without something, because everything that we do led us to what we are and how we think.
I tell people every day, or people that I talk to, even my kids, air tastes so much sweeter to me every single day. But you don't know that until you may die. And that's a weird position to be in. Like, and I don't wish it on anyone, but I can tell you I was there. And, when you have that perspective, then you go, holy shit, I cannot believe how fortunate I am.
Yeah.
So take advantage, Ryan. Like, dude, you're out there crushing it, right? Like, take advantage. Like, when people are like, well, when are you going to retire? Dude, fuck you. Like,
people have been asking me that for years. You know what I tell them? I say, when I don't love it or I suck, I'll be forced out if I suck. Or if I don't love it, then I'll quit. But for now, why force yourself to quit something that you love?
100%.
Why force yourself to just like, mold into the, generic levels that you're supposed to be at? Like if you believe in yourself, which you have to reach any high level of anything, then you also have to believe in yourself that you'll be fine after this is gone. You'll miss it. Yeah. It's a huge part of you, but you'll move on. But don't move on before it's your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, when you were going through that, I'm glad you picked up your cross and carried it daily, because that's a big, big deal. That's where that positivity will drive from. That's where you become a light for people who may have not had a light. I guarantee you shed so much light in that place when you were sitting in there with those people being positive. You changed their whole perspective on it, right? Like, and that's just being positive in general, right? Like, you pick up your cross, you carry it daily, and then you go be the best form that you can be in a world that can be so dark. And so, dude, props to you. Like, that's amazing. Like, out of all the conversation we had, and we've had great conversation tonight, that just like filled my heart. Like, I truly appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, man. Look, we're all here for a reason, right? And I always think like everything happens for a reason, and I'm very, very blessed to come out of that with 3 girls, and like everybody. What I've learned is every time you think you got it bad, somebody's got it 10 times worse. And until you learn that story, and I think that's the beauty of this format is you don't know that until you talk to them. And I'm not here saying woe's me. I'm going, hey man, there's people like I know a friend that lost both their parents in a car accident, never even knew them, and I'm like, well, that sucks. Or hey, you lose a leg or an arm. So the point is take advantage, man. Like we're all feel like invulnerable, like when you're young, things are going good. And that generation outside of everything I shared tonight, like live life now, like take advantage, enjoy it. Don't let everyone hold you back. This world's tough. We're got wars going on. You can look at the news. You can all do all this stuff. Yeah. Like in the end, it's all a cycle. It's all going to work itself out, but you got Tampa Bay coming up. You got a tournament coming up. Like have fun, man. Like go. And if you're enjoying it and loving it, it'll be great.
Everything works out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna, play the outro, but you do have an open invitation anytime you want. And if you don't get a hold of me about it, I'll get a hold of you in the next few months and we'll have you back on. So I appreciate it. So you can stay on just until the outro is done and we'll make sure it downloads and everything will be set. But thank you so much, brother. I love you.
Yeah, love you too, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everyone tuning in. We will catch you in the next one.
Well, the whiskey's low and the story's all done, but we sure had ourselves some fun. From tall tales told to the last good pun, you've been rolling with the rowdy ones. Thanks for listening, y'all.